and you are live to the world.
Hi there everyone, welcome along to another Shed Chat Live. I keep calling it that, Loft Chat Live. I think we're on number 7 now, we kind of lost track, but I hope I'm coming through loud enough. We've got trains running, because I know that you guys really love that, so do let me know if you can't actually hear anything. Now, we've turned the phone around to get a much better quality picture, but the downside of that is that I can't actually see the screen. So I have no idea if we're even broadcasting right now.
I assure you that we are broadcasting. Would you like to introduce, while I set up, would you like to introduce your co-star?
Oh, today, Loft Chat is brought to you with Miss Huggles. Now, Miss Huggles is very huggleable. And see? What's that, Miss Huggles? Is that little Timmy fell down the well? Little Timmy is the well? Oh no, who'd clean up all the mess? So that's Miss Huggles. Normally she actually lives in the child seat in the back of my Volvo. My Volvo has an integrated child seat. It was one of the Opel Extras that was available in 1996. And I actually strap her into it normally, but for whatever reason she's not in there at the moment. I think I was moving a load of wood, so I took her out and never put her back in. But we've finally got chatter. The cupboard monkey is hard at work, so if the camera seems to suddenly wobble, it's just because cupboard monkey keeps banging into it. So Matt Maz 2, hi to you. Model Train Fan 102, hi to you. Good evening, Jenny from Valleybrook 2 Model Railway. Leslie Gilpin, hi Jenny and Club. Alex Faxton says hi. 57305 Northern Princess, hello everyone. Hunts Heath Model Railway, hello Jenny, hello everyone. New Mills Model Railway, evening to you. Family Model Railway, evening everybody. We need to put that on all chat. And so we're just getting set up here. And also, somebody moaned about last time. They said, oh, you've gone to the trouble of putting eye makeup on, but then you put glasses on over the top. Well, there you are. Enjoy the eye makeup, because I'm blind as a bat when I take my glasses off. So, where have you gone? Where have you gone? Oh,
How many fingers am I holding up?
none, because that's a thumb. See? We got Patrick Ling says, evening Jenny and Cupboard Monkey, hope you're both well. Bob Patterson says, g'day from the land of Oz, g'day to you. I hear that you've finally got a bit of rain, which is probably very welcome at the moment, although some places it's sort of feast and famine, with the fact that you now got flooding, where previously you had fires. So we are thinking about you, and I hope all is well and that you're staying safe. Colin White's good evening, Jenny and Zoe. Matt Maz 2, RIP 60006, first class 60 cut for scrap today at Toten. I didn't know that. I mean, I'm surprised. What was wrong with number 6? I presume that she'd put a leg out of bed or something, and presumably then been stripped of parts. So actually, in reality, probably things like bogies and other such things, main generator and a lot of other minor bits and pieces have probably moved on to be recycled as spares. But even so, you know, in my head, that's a comparatively new locomotive, although it must admit, what were they, late 80s, early 90s for the class 60s? Certainly, we're looking at best part of 30 years old. The cupboard monkey is trying to fill me with food. So the cupboard monkey has offered me up this, but I'm full, so I'm going to give that back to the cupboard monkey.
It's a mince pie sold for a penny, but 1p for 4.
The cupboard monkey is very excited by this.
Hello! Hi! I like mince pies.
I'm assuming that's actually in shot. Because I don't get to see the screen.
Yes, it's in shot. Hi!
Yeah.
Bye!
Yeah, but go push off!
I'm off, see ya!
You can't get the staff, can you?
No, you can't. I'm off to draw some comics.
Bluegrass Rail Fan says, evening, afternoon, everyone from a cold Kentucky. Actually, it is very cold here as well. Derek Grant says, hi, Jenny and Stowe. I think I might have read that about just a moment ago. Gordon McIlroy, evening to you. Ham Shackleton. What's that thing? Or Zoe? Well, that's Zoe. A.K.A. the Cupboard Monkey. New Mills Model Railway asks, what locos are we running tonight? Right, big deep breath. We've got class 28 in rail blue, D5701 on the outermost line with a huge rake of Bachmann 16 tonners. Then I've got a Helgen class 26 in rail freight metal sector, I think it is, or it could be coal sector, running on the innermost line, and you'll probably see more of that one than any other. On the we've got a class 22 D6318 crawling around on the oil tanks, but then actually it's just reminded me a big thank you to I've forgotten your username, but they gifted me a class 47. So we've got Firefly class 47 in intercity swallow livery, and I'm really humbled that
class 47 was courtesy of Somerset and
that comes courtesy of Somerset Andy, so a big thank you to Somerset Andy for that. And we've sent some signed autograph books back to Andy, and hopefully you'll enjoy those. Let's have a look. Bluegrass Railvan, lots of stuff. Just gone off the top. If I miss your comments, it's not because I'm missing them. It's just that they scroll off the screen really quickly here, so I'm struggling to keep up. But if I miss you out, then ask your question again. Swindon 1969 says, evening all. Martin McFly, can't hear you too well, Jennifer. Not sure what to do about that. Maybe the cupboard monkey is listening, but maybe I shall move a bit closer. Hopefully, just let me know if the top of my head has disappeared off the top of the screen, because I can't see. Rockwell Lane says, hello Monday Club, Bogdan Gurski. I really liked your Miles Beaver video, but did you notice that it lacked speedometer cable? Can't get why they missed it. This is really a particular question. I didn't notice that actually. It could just be a quality control issue, maybe it had not been fitted in the factory or something, but to be honest, I didn't notice. Bob Patterson, got confirmation of my rocket orders from my local dealer, and that's both sets. Well done to you. And it's what I said actually last week. The some of the stuff is selling immensely quickly. So we touched on this last week. If you want the Hornby O-Gauge centenary sets, they're all sold out as far as I know. The Duchess of Athol's pretty much sold out, and the rocket set, certainly the Triang set, is sold out, and the regular set is selling out quick in a lot of places. So if there's something from that range that you really want and need to get hold of, then you need to get yourself ordering those. Right, today's beverage of choice as well is Diet Coke, because I am still being good and I am still doing Dry January. I just heard a laugh from the cupboard monkey. Are you alright down there, cupboard monkey? Apparently there's some incredulity being expressed about me saying I'm being good. All I'd like to say is that you didn't see me, you can't prove anything. Push off copper. Where's my halo gone? D827 Kelly, are you scalping yourself a bit in the video? But it doesn't matter really. Or have I gone so close that the top of my head has fallen off? What's the topic today? Is Zoe recovered? Well, today is just Model Railway news and views. And just going to shoot the breeze. We've got the Oxford Rail announcements coming up tomorrow morning. So we'll be doing a special live stream tomorrow morning when the announcements are made. I'm just at the moment trying to get Scott Rhodes from Oxford Rail to see whether he might be available to do an on-air interview. If not, then I know it'll probably be quite busy. They may even be at, I think it's the Toy Fair, when they do these announcements. So I'm really looking forward to it. It's always great to see what a new manufacturer has got in their announcements. And I have heard rumours of 2 completely new items, but I don't know what they are. Don't bother asking me. I have not asked Oxford Rail. I thought it'd be very rude to ask Oxford Rail, because, you know, don't ask any questions, because sometimes being told to get lost because they're not telling you can be deemed as offensive by some. But no, basically I'll hopefully be as excited as I was through the Hornby reviews. Angus's train said, "Oh, see you tomorrow." Oh, Angus's trains. What time? Ah, yes. I need to double check. At this moment in time, I'm suspecting either 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock. GMT. So at the moment, I will post an update once I get confirmation. But all I have been able to find is morning, which probably means sometime between 9 and 12. So it's 9 and 12 GMT. So it'll be great to have any of you along, and we will go through them as they are announced. And with any luck, might be able to get Scott Rhodes on. If not, then I know he's going to be a very busy guy, and I have left it till quite late to ask whether he might like to come on. D827 Kelly, I don't know what time. It's been really hard to nail down an exact time. All I know is tomorrow morning. Let's have a look. Matt Maz2 says, oh yes, it'll be interesting to see what Oxford Rail release. Be funny if they announce a Mark IV and DVT. Interesting. I've seen a lot of people trying to guess what they're going to bring out. Probably some of the sensible options. A J21, given that they're already doing the J27, similar chassis. But also, some people suggesting the S160, the big USA locomotive that works in Europe, and some still knocking about in Britain. I think Keithley and Worth Valley Railway definitely has at least one. So there's a lot of speculation. Given the success of the railgun, I'm guessing that maybe they're going to go for something really off the wall like that. On the other hand, not sure. What could they do? Somebody suggested a GWR crane tank or something, which might be a very, very interesting thing. I don't know. I'm really not quite sure. One interesting bit of model railway news which has come up is that Cavalex have now officially cancelled their Class 91 project. So any of you who are waiting for that, and we saw the 3D prints at Worley last year, everything was looking really good. I think it had an RRP of $179.99. They have now announced that in light of Hornby's announcement that the Class 91 is also coming from them, I think they've decided they can't compete without incurring a loss, so they've bowed out. Now I've seen a lot of mixed responses to this online, and just to counter some of those, bear in mind that Hornby tend to work on their models for anywhere up to 2 or even 3 years before they get announced. So this isn't a wrecking tactic per se. This is simply a case that Hornby has announced something that they were probably planning on bringing out anyway, and may well be well down the road on doing that. Wardle Road, evening to you. Stanton Junction, evening. Oh, is it evening, Ollie? Oh, I think there's some conversations going on in the chat. That's grand. It's a nice little community we've got here with the Jenny Monday Club. But yeah, Brockwell Lane says S160 would be good. I think it would actually. It's one of we've had the USA dock tank from Bachmann in conjunction with Model Rail, and I'm guessing that at some point we might see that hit the main range. So the S160 is a natural progression of that. And from Oxford Rail, actually, it would be a much more affordable price. Now, Oxford Rail seem to be very good at keeping prices down. So, actually, with an expensive model like that, it probably is beneficial to get it from them. S160's worked in Alaska with one stuffed there. Leslie Gilpin says, D827 Kelly still doing it. He's scrolling off the top. You're putting in comments faster than I can read them. Fat Wallet Boy 2 says the Hornby pantograph won't be up to much then. James Carroll says, good evening Jenny from the USA. Is that rain I hear? No, it isn't. We've got a lot of trains running. I know people quite like it when I'm running trains in the background. If they get too loud, do let me know and I can stop them running. We've got 4 trains going round. Some of them are quite long. There's a train of about 65, 70 Bachmann 16-ton mineral wagons going around the outside. And that's behind a Helgen Class 28. We also have Somerset Andy's Class 47. He was incredibly generous and actually gave me a Bachmann Class 47, showing pity on me for not having a Class 47, and I am Very, very much grateful for that. We've got it running round. I've DCC fitted it. I had to take the snowplow off the front because it was actually causing it to derail, and so I fitted the other coupling on it, but it's running flawlessly on a rake of Mark 1 coaches, which are mostly intercity, but also include some regional railways and Network South East, so it's well at home with that. We've got a Class 22 from Daypole on an oil train, and a Class 26 from Helgen. So actually, see, the only thing we're not running is something from Hornby, funnily enough. So we've got 2 Helgen, a Backman, and a Daypole. D827 Kelly, yeah, you're absolutely right. It was something being planned in 2016 before Simon left. Yeah, I've seen that as well, and he's basically picking up where he left off. So, in some respects, Cavalex were on dodgy ground, knowing that at some point Hornby might bring that out. So, you know, you take Hornby on at your peril to some degree, because they do have a lot of clout. Some models they've let slide, like the Oxford Rail Dean Goods, but others they have still gone head to head with people, such as the Oxford Rail Adams Radial. And actually with that, I think being first to the market is worth a lot. What I saw is that the Oxford Rail model was a cheaper price. It wasn't as good, but that value for money kicked in, and then they had the advantage of pretty much a year ahead of Hornby. So they played it right, and Hornby, I guess, were left having been sold a dummy in that respect, and they're still trying to sell those Adams radials. And I suspect that we're not going to see another production run of those Adams radials anytime soon as a result of that. That said, Oxford Rail brought out a second batch, so we got some very interesting liveries, but the East Kent Railway livery of that has stuck around a little bit as well. Whoa! Wardle Road. Oh, thank you very much. Wardle Road has donated £1.99 on the super chat. A big thank you for that. That is incredibly generous for you. It says, spent all day building a scrapyard. Great stream. Well, thank you very much. And actually, scrapyards are great fun to build. Those of you who are familiar with my exhibition layout, Grove Street Yard will know that a quarter of that is a scrapyard, and it always draws a lot of comment. And it's a great place actually to put all those broken bits of kits and stuff, and also practice weathering, stuff like that. So if you have access to Model Rail issue 143, I think it is, there's a full article of Grove Street Yard, including the scrapyard in that. So always great fun. But look, thank you very much for that, Wardle Road. D827 Kelly says, Jamie, Backman announcement isn't until sometime in February. It's either the 4th or the 5th of February, the Backman announcement. I'm hoping that I might be able to get to the retailer event on that. I had an invite through a third party, and I'm just waiting to see whether that will be confirmed. Colin White says, Jenny, Rails of Sheffield have sent an email. They have some Huntley and Palmer packets. Actually, that's an interesting one. So www.railsofsheffield.com, and that's Rails of Sheffield, all one word. If that is the case, then if you missed out on the Huntley and Palmer packets, that's a good score there. It may well be that they found some that have been kind of mislaid in the stock room. I do know that Hattons have found at least a couple of the 4-pin Hornby DCC decoders for £12. They haven't been reissued yet from Hornby, but I did get an email to notify that they'd briefly come back into stock, and I believe that's probably simply a case that they found some that they'd mislaid in their warehouse. James Carroll says, Jenny, why don't you have a long rake of cattle wagons? I actually own 4 cattle wagons, the long wheelbase variety from Backman, plus I've got one of the Oxford Rail cattle wagons. So between them, there's 5 cattle wagons that I can run in trains, and 2 of those are in display cabinets downstairs, the Northeastern Oxford Rail one, and the Great Western Railway liveried Bachmann one. I do also have the 3-pack set that Model Zone commissioned when they first came out. And I do sometimes run them, but they're a little bit out of period for what I normally have running on Weir Yard. Rob Evans says, "Hi Jen, you're both invited to Stoke when weather's better." Oh, thank you very much. Is that to, would that be the Churnup Valley Railway, something like that? It is a railway that I've never ridden it, but many years ago when I worked briefly for Ben Teller Distribution, and they handled a lot of specialist steel tubes. They're basically a steel wholesaler for tubes. I delivered boiler tubes there on a number of occasions. Also did Tanfield Railway, Weardale Railway, Great Central Railway. A lot of these places, that's where the boiler tubes come from. Tim Davis asks, do you think Hornby should go into N-scale? Well, at the end of the day, they're a commercial organisation, and I guess that they've decided that for whatever reason they can't make N-scale pay. They did have a range of the resin buildings. Little End was the range, and they were actually pretty good. They were like a shrunk down version of the Scaledale range. Now, it's quite telling that the Scaledale range has persisted, it's grown, keeps on coming out. It's a really good range, but the Little End range ended up getting remaindered, and for a long time actually some of that stuff was out there really quite cheap. I think the problem is that N-scale just has a much smaller market. They did the, under the Arnold brand, I think they did the Class 403 Brighton Bell. There's nothing precluding them from bringing out N-scale in the future, but at this time I think they've just taken the view that they need to concentrate on the 00. I believe we're about to get a visit from the Cupboard Monkey, and the Cupboard Monkey has a big green foam finger, so just can't get the stab. Mark Wilson asks, do I have any Class 25s? Well, you can see them in the background. I've got quite a few sat there. There's, will you stop it? Cupboard Monkey has had some kind of tartrazine, I think. But basically we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 tops numbered Class 25s in rail Leslie Gilpin, is Intermountain, that's... Oh, right, sorry, answering somebody else's question, no problem. Leslie Dickinson, hi to you. DH7 Kelly, Hornby are still too precarious financially to risk moving into new markets, I think, at the moment. Maybe in a few years. Definitely. I think it's one of those things... Oh, hello, Miss Huggles. How are you doing, Miss Huggles? Oh, that's not... Oh, you smell particularly fresh. It's like you've been on a trip through the washing machine to remove that stinky odour that you had after we left you lying around in the old house. And you went mouldy. Mouldy cuddly toys are not great fun. But, oh, I love Miss Huggles. Miss Huggles. Right, anyway. But, I love you too, Cupboard Monkey. Right, stop it. Come on. Oh, you're having a laugh. You're... Oh! Anywho, meanwhile, back at the ranch. Let's have a look. DH7 Kelly actually said it's just disappeared off the top of the screen. I think it's the Class 402 would make sense to complement the Class 403 and N-gauge. Right, one of the things about these is that the Class 401 and the Class 402, the 2 Bill and the 2 Hal, didn't necessarily sell so well in 00. Now, 4th rail electrics are a little bit niche. Now, they had the advantage that they dated from Southern Railway times, so they could have... What are we looking at?
Your benefactor has arrived.
Ah! Somerset Andy, hello to you. We were talking a little bit earlier. A big thank you to Somerset Andy for sending over the Class 47, which may just be appearing into shot over here. A big thank you to you, Somerset Andy, for letting me have that. It is a very fine model, and I felt so humbled when I went to pick that up from the postal depot. It was like, oh my gosh, that is amazingly generous of you, so thank you very much for that. So I now have a Class 47 trundling around. I fitted it with a DCC chip and it runs flawlessly, so big thank you. Huntseath Model Railway says, in fact, there's an MRYCG meet at Stafford. Aha! MRYCG, I met you guys at Worley and it was great to meet you all. I'm wondering, is there going to be another meet at Alexandra Palace? Because I'm going to be there all weekend, and that's a prior announcement for London Festival of Railway Modelling at Alexandra Palace. You come along, you can see me there operating the War of the Worlds layout all weekend, along with all 5 of us are going to be there. They're basically the people who didn't descend into being absolute idiots on the shoot. And
I thought you were talking about me there.
No. So, as you already know the story, one of our 5 turned out to
one
be...
of your 6.
Sorry, one of our 6 turned out to be a complete idiot, a complete self-centered, gaslighting, deceitful, lying individual, and so the 5 decent people are going to be there. All his ears are going to be burning. So you can come and meet Stefan Nielsen, the Swedish Connection. Melanie Lewis will also be there, and myself, Simon A.C. Martin, and Les Cliff. Is that everybody? Yeah, so all 5 of us will be there on Saturday. Unfortunately, Simon A.C. Martin cannot make the Sunday, so it'll just be the 4 of us on the Sunday. And what do you want, Cupboard Monkey?
Is it Les Cliff in the Shadows?
Apparently, Les Cliff in the Shadows. No, it isn't.
You just realised what it said. Ha ha ha. I'll go back to work.
D87 Kelly. Cuddles was a monkey. Yeah, actually, that was...
Cuddles the monkey and Orville the duck.
Yeah, Orville the duck.
I wish I could fly right
Ian
up
Ryan
to the
says,
sky, but I can't.
Shut... Stop it. Go away, you cupboard monkey. Oh, my word. Wardle Road has donated £1.99 Super Chat. That is immensely generous of you. Can you explain what happened with that number 6? Not for £1.99, I'm afraid. But suffice to say that the way the programme was edited, it did Simon A.C. Martin a great injustice, because it took a few things that he said out of context and completely edited up the nuisance individual to basically practically not be there. And actually the bully was the person who was pretty much edited out, not Simon A.C. Martin. And I know that he's been trolled a lot by idiots who don't seem to understand that actually it wasn't Simon A.C. Martin causing any trouble whatsoever.
Just as a technical thing, Jen, you're not coming through too loud.
Oh, so how do we turn that up?
We can't. You have to speak up.
Oh, right, so I have to shout at this. So if I get really close, is it because of where the microphone is? I'm on the wrong side for the microphone.
Yes, so let's do a technical thing.
Why is the lights flickering?
They're not.
So, right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop some of the trains just so that we don't have as much noise.
Yes, putting more noise on will help with the less noise.
Now, what I was going to do was move that somewhere where it can be seen. So, is there a reason that I'm at a very slanty, jaunty angle?
Yes, because I haven't finished altering the levels yet, so don't worry.
Wardle Road, would you explain for a bigger donation? Careful now, careful. Tim Bode says, hello from Michigan.
Timbo!
Hi to you. And actually, there's a YouTuber that I've got into watching who's in Michigan. Steve Lato has Lato's Law. It's actually a really, really interesting YouTube channel, it has to be said. So, to Steve Lato, there is absolutely zero chance that he watches this. He probably does not even know of my existence, but certainly I thoroughly enjoy his YouTube channel.
Okay, guys, can you hear Jenny more now? I know I'm loud because I'm deaf and I don't actually know my volume, but can you hear Jenny better?
Let me just, I'm going to... let me just slow that one right down.
Wild. Oh, the lights are flickering. Hello, is anybody there? Knock 3 times if there's anyone there.
Have we got like storms outside?
It's bad weather, yeah.
It might just because it's very windy. Right. Chris Whittington says yes and hi all. Mark Wilson says what? Can't hear anything. Can you hear something now?
He's taking the pee. If he couldn't hear anything, he wouldn't have known to say anything.
That's like that country and western song. It's like I can't live if you can't live without me. How come you weren't dead when I found you? Let's have a look. Ham Shackleton. Jenny is a bit muffled. Zoe is a lot louder and crispier. I think what it is having the camera this way round is not conducive.
You look like that. So, tell you what. I'll do you a favour.
You have to stop the stream to
No,
turn
I
it
don't.
around.
Hello everyone, I'm just turning everything round, so you've got me now. Sorry about that, guys. So, we're going to do this in a technologically amazing style. Look at the ability. Wow.
Right, so we're going to have to make this lean the other way.
It's alright, I will deal with it. Don't
So,
worry.
let me just...
I've got the levels here, it's alright.
Is that better? Can you hear me better this way round? We were trying to get a better picture, to be honest, but
And it didn't really work.
unfortunately it's compromised the sound. Tim Bode says that's better.
How's
So,
that?
you're not getting any of the modelling.
I haven't finished yet. Hey, look at her, she's terrible.
So I'm really sorry about this, guys.
I can't get the talent these days, she's always going for all
Yeah,
sorts.
we're just putting the... this is the Vaseline smeared lens to make me look younger. Look at that, it takes 10 years off. So if you...
How's that?
well, if my head is at the top... Whoa! Wardle Road. That is amazingly generous of you. It's not come on the other screen yet, but I'm just...
Apparently my cardigan matches Les's pastel work and they're blending well. Well, I am camouflaged.
Oh my word. Wardle Road says $9.99. Is this a big enough donation? My word, that is very, very generous of you. I just put up a layout visit if you fancy having a look later, as this donation allows for 200 characters. I may as well use them up. By the way, the audio is fine. Thank you very much. Somebody says, what is the alcohol in that so-called Coke? There's no alcohol, still doing dry January.
Thanks.
But, right, what happened? The individual, I'm not going to give their name, but if you look back through my channel, it's fairly obvious. In fact, if you've got the Pico guide, it's fairly obvious as well. Let me just adjust this.
Sorry, are we talking about Brian again?
You may think that, I couldn't possibly say. Essentially, what happened was, it turned out he's very coercive and abusive, and...
Can I jump in on this?
Yeah?
Guys, hello. I don't normally jump in on this. I don't like talking bad about people, but I said from before they went on the show to drop him. And Jen was all, but maybe he'll be alright once we get there. Maybe it's just nerves. Maybe he's just playing up because he's never done it before. I think, no, just drop him. And
Yeah.
I turned out to be right, so listen next time.
Yeah, and I've spoken with a few of his exes, and there's like a trail of people who will attest to his coercive, abusive behaviour.
Yeah.
Now, he threatened some of the camera crew. He threatened one camera guy that if, quote, he didn't stop filming him, he would smash his lens. And then thought this was amazingly funny. It's like, oh, I found a way to stop them filming me. All I have to do is threaten to break the lens. And they're like, right, we're done. When actually what happens is that they go and report this to people higher up and say, yeah, this person's making threats. Now, he made threats of physical violence to Les Cliff. And at one point in the hotel, Les was in a lift going down, and he got in, and he physically threatened Les with violence. He really didn't get on with Les. So much so that Les was shaking a lot of the time because this other person in the team was just so nasty to him. The other thing that this person was doing was they were trying to play us all off against each other. So they would outright lie to each of us, trying to make us all think that other people were doing things that they weren't. The trouble was that he wasn't bright enough to realise that we were all trading notes. We all spoke to each other. We had a separate WhatsApp group once we started to realise what was going on. And we kept each other informed about what he was doing and what he was saying, so that when he came up to people and claimed otherwise as part of the gaslighting thing that he did, we already knew what he'd actually said to other people. At one point, the TV company actually, we had a meeting, which he wasn't party to. There was 4 of the team members, plus the people like Pat Doyle, the series producer, was at the other end of a phone line. But then there was the director was in there,
Yeah.
and some of the other people behind the scenes who you don't see on the show. And we all basically laid out the story of what was going on. They knew because the camera crew had reported back that he'd made threats to them, and he was threatened with being kicked off the production. He was told basically it's 2 strikes and you're out. So he was given a final warning. He then tried to claim to me, bearing in mind I'd been in this meeting, he tried to claim to me that the film crew had said, oh, well, we're going to threaten the other person in the team. And it's like, I remember thinking with incredulity, it's like, dude, I was in the meeting where they told us what they were going to do. Don't BS me, man.
But that's what they're like. That's the kind of person.
Yeah.
And anyway, I think you've covered this before, so
Yeah.
would you like to get back to a lighter note?
Yeah, anyway.
What would win in a race? A Class 8 or a Class 9?
Well, Class 9, because a Class 9 is a Class 8 with different gearing to allow it to go faster, but would compromise its pulling power, so it could pull less but do it faster.
So, there you are.
Yeah.
Bit of a lighter note.
Yeah, she didn't realise that there was a big complicated answer, and I could actually say, which was...
No, I just wanted to change the subject.
Right, anywho, sorry.
Anyway.
No. It's not about the biggest little railway. This is about GMRC.
Oh, you've got a different story about the biggest little railway.
His name was... Yes, Warrington Train Spotter. You are absolutely right. Sounds like a bit of a fruitcake, says Matt Maz too. Yeah, and I've since spoken to a number of their exes who attest that the guy was just like that to them. So, yes, Ian Ryan. Yes, this was the GMRC show. Fat Wallet Boy 2 sounds like a bully. Yes, that is you. You have his number there. Don't. Why? I've got a glass. Why am I? I'm the author.
Because you're an uncouth youth.
Uncouth youth.
So uncouth. You'll be putting a hoodie on next.
Mark Wilson. His name was Brian. Just a boy.
Anyway, I'm off. I've got to go to work.
Monty Python reference.
See you later, guys. Do your usual stuff.
Ian Ryan says, yes, on a lighter note, Hitler, anybody?
Oh, good grief.
Joe Light Railway. Jennifer, have you heard of the DRS Class 20s make their final run on last Saturday? I did not know that, actually. I mean, they're pretty old locomotive, it has to be said. So, it doesn't surprise me. Would you stop?
Tell them about what you did last night.
What did I do last night?
To get that mark on your head.
Oh, have I got a mark on my head?
No, you haven't.
I got just there is where it really hurts. I headbutted the corner of a shelf, which was not a clever thing to do, I will admit.
Yeah, she spent the entire day complaining about a headache now.
So,
You're
just...
a headbanger.
Yeah, literally a headbanger. Let's have a look. Mark Wilson. Oh, I love fruitcake. Any offerings from the cupboard? The cupboard monkey, I presume. We have an issue with a train. Has decided to deceitfully derail. So just give me one moment. I've got to put that back on the tracks. So I'll probably go all distant now because I'm on the other side of the camera. But for reasons unknown, there's a wagon in this train which keeps derailing things when I'm not looking, which is a little bit annoying. Right. So there we go. So yeah, basically a little bit of a backstory. We've had that before, but yeah, generally I don't hold grudges. I find life's too short to hold grudges, but in his case, it just outright lied to my face, and I knew he was lying. So that is just downright rude. Morty UK, can you remember the headbanging music in the mid-80s? It depends whether you were talking mainstream or underground house classics. So, with Staten Junction, would you ever do an N-gauge layout? I would possibly consider it as a part of a project. Ham Shackleton, that's like a line from a Steven Seagal film. I've got something to fix that bruise. What bruise? Splat. That one. I like that. Leslie Gilpin says, do Bachman USA do annual announcements? I don't know, actually. I would guess that they do announcements on a yearly basis. UK Bachman does, Hornby do. So yeah. Mark Samways, dear young Jenny, what is the difference between the rails of the manufacturer's O scale and will they join together? Okay. Yeah, basically double O is a universal scale. So essentially, if it's double O, all the track is the same. Coddismore says, looking forward to Bachman's releases, Jenny. Anything on the wish list? My wish lists are generally reliveries rather than actual all new models. But I think a Great Central Railway a six-wheel brake van would be a lovely offering. I think a Robinson 8K in Great Central Railway livery with a different identity to the one that they did for the National Railway Museum would probably be quite a good seller, because I keep getting asked about that. Ditto for the 9J, aka the J11, producing that in Great Central livery. What else? I like the Tops era as well, so I would love to see bish bash bosh, what wagons have we not had, but the one plank wagon, and I think it's OLV, so with the Tops lettering code, would love to see that. Again, the Conflat A lettered up as an FAV. Yeah, I'm easily pleased. What else have they not done which they could do? I guess as well some of the more unusual stores vans liveries for the ventilated van, and I also really want to see that VEA just turn up. In terms of all new wagons that aren't out there that I think really should be out there, I'm not sure actually. Maybe a PAL brick would be a nice development of something like the Conflat A. I don't know. Let's have a look. Jenny's wish list is bigger than her bank balance, says Warrington Train Spotter. You're absolutely right on that one. Leslie Gilpin. Oh, sorry, there's a conversation going on there. Ben Davis. Hi, Jennifer. Thanks for the live stream. You're absolutely welcome. Wardle Road. Cosmo isn't sub to me. R.I.P. in the chat, lads. What? Game Hammer Classic Gaming. Jenny's wish list is bigger than her house. Oh, God, yes. I need more money. No, I'm not begging for money. Don't take that the wrong way. Ian Ryan, thank you, Game Hammer. I've just liked. Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, that's right. Don't forget to smash that like button and share this too. Let everybody know that we're live and kicking, and it's just great to see how many people we can have hanging out. And let's build this model railway community. So Warrington Train Spotter says, do you hear from Simon from GMRC? Is he okay? Yeah, he's absolutely fine. Talk to him regularly through the WhatsApp group that we set up amongst the people to basically swap info on what we were being gaslit by his nibs. We still have that WhatsApp group, so we all keep in touch through that. So yeah, Simon's fine. He's just finishing up his apprentice with Network Rail, his apprenticeship even. So it's very, very busy. He does an awful lot of stuff. Gosh, I don't know how he has any free time. He's also a bit of a gym bunny. He is in amazing shape, and you know, he does a lot of gym stuff as well. So yeah, Simon's fine. Mark Wilson, what's a power brick? A power brick is basically one of these. It's a nickname for, you know, the multi-plug adapter. Jamie Smith, ICI hoppers. Actually, that makes me think the ICI caustic liquor tanker, which is like a bogey tanker that was in the Hornby 00 range. That's one that's conspicuous by its absence. So maybe they might do that as something a bit different. D87 Kelly, nothing springs to mind with regards to wishing from Oxford Rail. I think there are a few locomotives that I would love to see in model form, and I don't know who's likely to do it. I suspect probably more likely a Helgen thing, but Class 1, Class 2 and Class 6 diesel shunters. Foxhill Railway, evening, bonsoir to all, thank you. D87 Kelly, Jenny mentioned it earlier, 9 or 10 a.m. tomorrow. Yeah, I don't think they've actually released an actual time, so I will keep you guys posted. Stay tuned to my Facebook page, and hopefully, as soon as we know, we will we'll let you all know about that. Matt 2, the winning layout from GMRC is currently at AIMREC at the end of my road in Ashford. If anyone wants to see it, open Saturdays and Sunday, free entry. Excellent. I know it's certainly doing a lot of shows and that, but the War of the Worlds layout, which was all the way through to the final, so it does appear in the final, but it's actually the winner of Heat 2. That layout will be at Alexandra Palace. I don't know whether the winners will be, but certainly we will be. Mark Wilson says, yes, love What's Neat by Kent. Yeah, definitely do, actually. I've just seen the pictures. He's I don't know whether it's up yet, but certainly the new episode has been filmed. Oh my word, how conjunction laughing my bottom off. Jenny, I've just figured I can link phone to SkyQ Mini through projector, so you're now live on a 180-inch screen. Wow, I'm on the big screen. Where's the lens? I'm on the big screen. Hello, everybody. It's like, I keep hearing a little squeak of shorting power. Somewhere over there, there's a locomotive briefly shorting out somewhere, and I don't know what it's doing it on, or indeed which one it is. It's either the Class 28 or the Class 22. But still running. Yeah, Mark Wilson, love What's Neat by Ken, definitely do. Marty McFly, was the Biggest Little Railway the programme that James May did? No, that was Dick Strawbridge, because I was on that. I led one of the teams, so I was team leader of Team D, and actually I'm not going to swivel the camera around to show you, but I've got my memento up there screwed to the wall. Diet Coke, if anybody's interested. Still doing dry January. Ian Ryan says, can anyone recommend a nice, not too expensive branch line loco from late 50s, early 60s? The Bachmann 57XX Pannier is a pretty good one. You get them second hand for a reasonable price. Also, the 56XX062 is pretty good. But then Oxford Rail N7's a very nice locomotive, and you can pick them up relatively cheaply as well. And certainly, they're actually pretty good. Warrington Train Spotter. I would like to see Oxford Rail. Oh, it's just jumped. Bish bash bosh. Jamie Smith says, I can smell that loco burning. I'm not sure which loco you mean there, to be honest. Warrington Train Spotter. I would like to see Oxford Rail do a Mark IV DVT unless Hornby are doing it. I would suggest that possibly it's something that might be on Hornby's cards. Although if it's not in the 2020 range, you're going to have to wait until 2021. Ian Ryan says, I did get a 56XX off New Durham Junction. It was my first purchase. Cheers, Jenny. Yeah, they are great. I've got one up here somewhere. Let me just try and find it. Bish, bash, boosh, bosh. So, I've got one here, actually. I do quite like these. They're a slightly older Bachmann model, but, they perform pretty well. Dead easy to DCC fit. Cab roof comes off as well, so if you want to fit them with a crew, that is quite easy. Actually, one of the other ones as well, the 262 Prairie Tank as well. I dig one of those out. I can't remember. I think it's the 45XX. I know these are all Great Western Railway locos. The Ginty and the Midland 1F as well are pretty good, and you can pick them up for a reasonable price. If you're going DCC fitted, one thing I would have to suggest to you is that the earlier Ginties are not DCC ready and will need to be hardwired, but the later ones are DCC ready. I suspect as well, if you go right back, I have a feeling that the 56XX was originally a split chassis, which would be a nightmare to DCC fit. Ditto for the early panniers, so do watch out on that. Right, let me just put that back up there. Oh, and the other, just so we're up to date there, the I think it's a 45XX, the 262 Prairie tank from Bachmann as well, is actually quite a nice locomotive. The modern ones, DCC ready. The older ones, you need to hardwire them, but they're actually quite easy to do. So I'm going to put that there because that's a pretty little thing. Ian Ryan says, thank you for the advice, Jenny. I will note it later on catch up. You're absolutely welcome. I mean, that's all in terms of steamrolling stock. I'm trying to think. Oh, actually, Rails of Sheffield, tell them I sent you if you go there. They currently have in their sales as well the V3 tank from Bachmann for about, I think it's about £70. And that is DCC ready. It takes a next 18 chip. And they've also got, I think, they may have sold out, but last time I looked, the 242 Aspinall Radial as well in BR livery. That too, I think it's about £69.50. So there are actually a lot of stuff on the market. You don't necessarily need to spend a huge amount. Huh. Apparently when I reach up, my belly goes on display. My exposed belly. Unfortunately, I'm middle-aged, and that means that all those pies and beers and kebabs are kind of lingering about my person. So yeah, I know I need to lose weight, so thanks for noticing. D827 Kelly, SECRH class, SECRP, oh yeah, the P class from Hatton's, available new for about 100 squids. New Junction says, what's wrong with a good belly? I used to be thin once, and I liked being thin, and I'm not quite sure what happened in the intervening years, but I think it was something to do with discovering pie, ice cream, chocolate, crisps, chips. So yeah. Hey kids, this is what happens when you get to middle age. It all catches up with you. And there's not like a transition period where your body goes, ooh, careful now. It's just one day you wake up and you realise you've put on 3 stone. But yeah, New Junction, great to see you. How are you doing? One of these days I'm going to snare you with my model railway musk and get you to come and visit. And I will have you sat in a hot seat just here. It'd be a cold seat if you want a cold seat, but it'd be great to have you on. Jaffa Cakes, Chris Whittingham says, I'm trying to cut back. I've made a New Year's resolution this year that I'm finally going to slim back down, and I'm going to finally be able to fit back into all those clothes that I've been hoarding since I was 21. Bluegrass Railfan says a keg is always better than a 6-pack. Yeah, they always say it's like, have you got a 6-pack? No, I've got a Lurpak. Ham Shackleton, don't worry, Jenny, my chest slipped down years ago. Well, at least I didn't flash you with some boobs. Leslie Gilpin, I set my tracks to DC for track cleaning and switch to DCC when necessary. I have to admit, I do it old school. I just use one of these are Pico track rubbers. I actually prefer the Gauge Master one. I did do a bit of a review of them quite a while ago, but they can be a little bit hard to source from times, but there we are. Angus's Train says, Bachmann announcements are probably from a couple of years ago. Well, certainly, whatever they announce, don't expect it anytime soon. And that's actually one of those things that I prefer from Hornby. Now, when Hornby announce something, it's generally, you are going to see it in the year it's announced. Now, I'm still waiting for that Bachmann VEA, originally announced around 2000, 2001, and dropped from the announcements and then made it back in. So that's probably one of the things that when it does finally turn up will be the most long-winded gestation period for any model from Bachmann. That said, the Class 24-1, we've been waiting for that for an awfully long time as well. Ian Ryan says, oh gosh, is this the Sid James memorial moment going on here? Oh, matron. Let's have a look. Jamie Smith, is that ready for the Bachmann releases, Richard? 2025. Yeah, sometimes it does feel like that. Ian Ryan, my pacemaker went into overdrive there, Jenny. Easy, girl. Okay, behave yourself. Mark Wilson, does DCC running require clean rails? Yes, actually, in some respects, DCC running is less forgiving of dirty tracks. So, going DCC doesn't mean that you can give up on track cleaning. It also be said, if you've got a high-frequency track cleaning device, you cannot use that on DCC. Moreover, you can't use a DCC-fitted loco, even in DC mode, on a layout that has one, because it will kill the DCC chip. Howkin Junction 00 Class 700, please. Hornby's already made it. That came out a couple of years ago. Angus's Trains, I hope Oxford do an S160 in red from the Keighley Worth Valley Railway. Yeah, the Class 160, I've seen it mentioned on online for it, and I think it's possibly up there. They do have a slightly military angle going on with the war flats that they've done, the Bosch Buster howitzer railgun, which is an unexpectedly huge seller, although they must have had an inkling that sometimes some of these off-the-wall things really do sell well. And then the Dean Goods came out in the rail operations division. I've just seen Jamie Smith's comment. Oh my word. When you stood up, we all looked closer to the screen. Haha, warn us next time you're going to stand up. Oh, DH7 Kelly, yes, you're probably right. I'm not up with the modern stuff. So, yeah, I was thinking of the Drummond 700 class. Let's have a look, what else we've got. Ben Davis, hope to see in the Oxford 2020 range. One Great Eastern Railway class L77 in GER blue and more trains in Great Eastern Railway blue. S160 number 2253 Omaha in Transport Corps USA red. And also 5820 in Transport Corps USA grey. And also the Longmore Military Railway blue WD701. Yeah, I think there's a lot of different versions that they could do with that. And in some respects, if they don't announce that, I do wonder perhaps is that one which Bachmann might announce. So, interesting times. Could we end up with two announced in the same year? I don't know about that, but actually, to be honest with you, if Oxford Rail announced one and Bachmann announced one, no prizes for guessing who will get to market first. Warrington Train Spotter asks, do you prefer kettles to diesels? Actually, I prefer, both have their charm, but I actually prefer the diesels, it has to be said. Even though I have a massive collection of steam locomotives, I think they both equally have their charms. But diesel locomotives, I generally model BR tops period, so the late 70s through to late 80s maybe. And I just love that period because you've got to remember that's when my childhood was, late 70s onwards. So in some respects, I think railway modelling is about modelling what you remember with most fondness, usually from when you were younger. So I never saw commercial steam other than, I think I saw the last, literally, quite literally, the last wisps of industrial steam, Donington Power Station and thinking Linishaw Moss, Bickershaw Colliery. Apart from them, I'm struggling to remember ever particularly seeing commercial steam in operation. So for me, yeah, that's the period which I remember fondly being held up by my father on the gates of a level crossing in Hull, and watching BR Blue Diesels thunder across. Ian Ryan says, be right back. I need beer and whiskey. I'm doing the dry January too, just not this January. Eee. D87 Kelly, given choice of 24 something locomotive work each time, however, Backman aren't doing the 24-1 relevant to Scotland. They may well do at some point. Angus is trained. Sorry, Jenny, don't agree. Steam is best. Stop calling them kettles. It wasn't me who called them that. D87 Kelly, I should have 97201 sometime soon, hopefully, paying for it fortnightly. It's that experiment. I'm sure I do recognise that number. Leslie Gilpin, bluegrass ribs would have been nice. The other half is veggie, so I have to accommodate. I sympathise with you. The cupboard monkey is one of those evil vegetarians. Hark, wait for the complaining noise and the of footsteps going. Tim's Train says, I thought you were younger than that, Jenny. In my mind, I will forever be young. They do say, actually, inside every older person is a younger person wondering what the hell just happened. Fat Wallet Boy 2, are pre-orders now a bit pointless on new tooling Backman announcements? Certainly the prices are. The prices are just plucked out of the air a lot of the times, because by the time they come out, they're like 3, 4, 5 times that price. You know, in a way, it's why I prefer to just see TBC on the prices, because in all honesty, I think it's disingenuous to quote prices that they're never going to honour. When it comes to Hornby, though, because the stuff tends to come out the same year, the prices quoted generally are the prices you pay, which is great. D827 Kelly says, I have D5000 and D5017 as well. 508, D508, I think it's the one with the Condor plate. I think we're talking about Sutton Locomotives 24s. But yeah, pre-orders actually on Hornby stuff I would well recommend, it has to be said, because miss it, you miss out. Somerset Andy, Class 25 and Class 37 and Class 56 were my favourites of the era. I have to say, Class 56 is one which I'm slowly being turned towards. I do like the idea of getting a Hornby one, so I'm going to wait until, at the moment, the only ones available are, I think it's a Rail Freight Distribution livery. Oh, hark, the Cupboard Monkey did come running. The Rail Freight Distribution 56 and I think there's the DCR one and the Floyd ZRT one is in the current catalogue, none of which are liveries that I'm particularly bothered by.
Penny pastry?
No, I'm actually not hungry.
Sniff it, sniff it.
Oh, sorry, I just burped all over them, that's my mistake.
Sniff it, you know you want to.
You smell like pastry.
Have fun, have fun.
No.
I'm totally a bad influence.
Yeah. Fat Wallet Boy 2. Hatton's pre-order, that was £67, was the actual price 5 years later. What are we...
I don't see what he's talking about.
Alex Pomeroy. Evening, Jenny. Enjoy the stream as always. Just wondering whether or not... Oh, scrolling off. So stop posting comments so quick. Oh no, I've broken it. Evening, Jenny. Enjoying the stream as always. Just wondering whether or not to buy a Ginty on eBay. My poor student finances. It depends where you're getting it from, how old it is, but certainly the Ginties. Backman Ginties, yes. Hornby Ginties, no. The Hornby Ginties are basically with the railroad chassis, that generic 6-wheel chassis that they do, and in all honesty, for probably this... Oops, I nearly had a train run over the mouse. In all honesty, I would say go for the Backman Ginty every time. You can pick them up second hand for not very much. So don't pay over the odds. But yes, if you can get it at the right price, certainly a Backman one, go for that. Tim's Train says, do you want to review my Stevenson's limited edition when it arrives? Now, thank you for the very generous offer, but I have a rule that I don't review other people's models, just because Intercity 82, big YouTuber, ended up biting off much more than he could chew by effectively inviting people, send in your models, I'll review them, and I think he's ended up with a garage full of stuff, and it's just turned into a stressful mess for him. So look, thank you very much for the kind offer, but I'm going to decline because I tend to just stick with the samples that come through from manufacturers, because enough come through to keep me in reviews. And there are other channels that do pretty much nothing but reviews, and I like to try and do a mix, so I only do 2 reviews a week.
Also, the other thing, if people send stuff to Jenny, we can't guarantee that it'll arrive, and we can't guarantee that it'll be sent back and get to you in the same state that it would have been in when you sent it. Because the biggest issue is, can you trust the postal service? Can you trust them with the weather that we have in Britain for things to get there and back in good condition? I just don't think it's a good idea.
Yeah. And like I said, I've learned from Intercity 82's mistakes. Unfortunately, with the best of intentions, he's ended up making a big rod for his back. I believe, as I said before, it's got something like a garage that's just stacked floor to ceiling with stuff waiting to be dealt with.
At some point, how do you even get the time left in your life to do it all?
Yeah, I mean, so for example, I've still got these 2 to fit. I'm not going to show you what they are, but they're both locomotives.
I can guarantee they are locomotives, and I can guarantee that she's going to force me to film them tomorrow.
So, I've just filmed 2, maybe 3 reviews earlier on today of products. There's another 2 locomotives there, and then downstairs there's an O gauge item that was sent over by Accurascale that we're going to be filming tomorrow.
And she's making me film them all.
Oh,
she loves it, and she loves to force me.
I'm not letting
them.
you. You're getting to.
Guys, help!
No.
I'm trapped filming all of her stuff. Anyway, I'll go back to work. See you later.
Yeah. Go on, get lost. Stop it. Sling your hook. I really don't want one.
Pastry.
No.
Pastry.
They do smell nice. Yeah. Be gone,
I'm
cupboard
going to go and
monkey.
eat pastries and draw
Be gone.
comics.
Because you're making the camera rock. Anybody wondering why the camera's rocking? It's because she's standing on the squeaky floorboard.
I'm going to eat pastries and draw comics. Bye bye.
Oh, you've been called a cupboard angel.
Someone
Her halo went missing a long time ago.
Someone doesn't know me very well.
Yeah, take it from me. She's no angel. Jamie Smith, are there any Hornby Loco 20 pin, or are they all 8 pin, including those they've retooled? As far as I'm aware, Hornby in the majority are 8 pin. The only exception to that are they brought out a 6 pin chip. So the Terrier and the B2 Peckett, and I believe the Ruston 48DS all take their 6 pin chip. Now be warned on this, their 6 pin chip is proprietarily wired. You can rewire it to be a conventional chip, and conversely you can make a conventional chip fit a Hornby model, but you have to hardwire it because they went and reversed 2 of the wires. I don't know why they want to do that. It's really naughty of them, but they did. They also have a 4-pin chip which goes in the W4 Peckett and the Sentinel locomotives, both kind of Sentinels as well. But yeah, D827 Kelly, most Helgen are 8-pin too. I think it's only particularly in the UK, Daypole and Bachmann, who are the manufacturers that went in wholesale for the 21-pin. The only problem is that they also started going in for the next 18 pin, so there's no real standardisation. If you thought that going 21 pin would bring standardisation, you are very much mistaken. Are we still running? I just suddenly realised I haven't seen some of the trains for a while. I think, oh actually yeah, we do still have 4 trains running. Neil Bedford says, looking forward to the O gauge. I have just a little of the original Hornby Clockwork versions. Lovely. Now, it's not one of those centenary Hornby locomotives. They don't need the likes of me to help them sell them. They've already sold out. Oh, interesting. Warrington Train Spotter. You know Will as well then, do you? I only know him through somebody else. I haven't actually ever met him. So just in case of watching, I don't know who the hell you are. But yeah, I just knew through a mutual friend. Yeah, his garage is like an Aladdin's cave of trains, and the problem with Intercity 82 that he came up against is that he's now trying to send these back to their rightful owners, and it's all a stressful mess. Hillside Junction, are you going to the London Railway Modelling Show at Ali Pali this year? Yes, I am. We were talking about this a little bit earlier on. Taking the Great Model Railway competition, War of the Worlds layout, which won Heat 2, and was seen again in the final episode as well. That will be at Ali Pali, along with the 5 people from the Team Rail Riders who didn't end up being a bullying idiot. So you'll be able to meet myself, Melanie, Simon, Les and Stefan. We're all going to be there. I'll also be doing, I believe I'm being interviewed as well by the MRC on both days too. So it's all go. Interesting. D827 Kelly. Hornby used to use 21 pin for sound locomotives before TTS. I didn't know that, actually. That's interesting to know. So does that mean that some of their earlier sound fitted locos are not actually the TTS style chips, and they presumably were using proprietary sound chips from other manufacturers? And does that mean actually that their the cost of their early sound fitted locos were much more expensive, I'm guessing? Jamie Smith says, I thought IC82 was making a comeback, but not seen no blog since he explained. Yeah, he did put out an explanation saying that he was making a comeback, and then I've not heard anything further since. Mark Wilson, off to Star Wars Disney on Saturday, but secretly looking out for American railroads and hobby shops. Shh. Yeah, my father did something like that, where they went out to Vegas, and one day he went and disappeared off somewhere in Las Vegas and found a model shop and bought a load of stuff. D827 Kelly. Indeed, 21 pin sound chips, DCC ready, were 8 pin. That must have added greatly to the cost to effectively put a different thing in, a different interface in. Now, we've got 186 people watching, but only 67 likes, I see. So, don't forget to hit that like button if you haven't already done so, and also share this video. Let other people know that we are live today from Weir Yard in the Loft. So it would be great to have as many people as we can in. Let them know about the community of the Jenny Monday Club. Richard Lewis, do you, Simon, will get a call from the Buck House soon? Not sure what you mean by that. It's lost in translation. Ben Davis thinks we could be getting S160 and GER class L77 and GER blue from the Oxford 2020 range as Oxford diecast rail. Like my comment, is that hinting them coming in the 2020 range somewhere? Now, I've seen S160 commented on a lot of places, so I'm guessing that that is a good possibility. I've also seen J21 commented on as well because of commonality of chassis, but I would suggest that with a J27 imminent, that the big risk is that it's too similar. I would suggest that they would like to probably give it at least a year of the J27 being on sale before they contemplate a J21. And I think that what they want is a sexy looking locomotive, and something that can be produced in Great Eastern Railway blue would certainly fit that niche. Now, they've already got the N7. So one other option, which was long-lived and certainly as well actually was a very successful class, would be the N2. And it would be interesting to see whether an N2 could be on somebody's cards. Now, there was an old ex-Dapol model that Hornby have intermittently had in their range, but that is getting quite long in the tooth. So it would be very interesting to see whether anybody is going to take on the N2. I'm just throwing that out there so I can do an I told you so if it does actually get produced. If not, I'll gloss over it and pretend I never said anything. Yeah. Robert Becking says Hornby Sapphire decoder is 21 pin. I've always wondered about that. It just seems odd that they produce a decoder that doesn't fit any of their locos. Bluegrass Railfan, sorry, I forgot to hit the like button. Fix that. Thank you very much. Now, good God, we've jumped up to 93 likes. Can we get that over 100? Also, don't forget to share. Let's get as many people as we can watching. It's great to build on the Jenny Monday Club community. Gosh, I think I need some kind of Diet Coke lubrication. It's dry January. I know, folks. Normal service will be resumed on the 2nd of February because I was naughty. Had a cheeky can of cider. Didn't actually enjoy it for one of the live streams, so I vowed I would do dry February the 1st as well to make up for that. So, do I feel any better for dry January? No. No real different. I wasn't a big drinker. Right. Mark Wilson says, do you know it's Blue Monday, but also National Pie Day? Did somebody say pie? What flavour is that pie? Why, it's pie flavour, of course. Ian Riser, National Pie Day. There is a National Pie Day. Woman, bring my baggy trousers. Boom! Bob Patterson, I have the Hornby Elite DCC and it's a shame they haven't done much in the way of upgrades, and especially a handheld controller like the NCE, etc. Warrington Train Spotter, who makes the American locos for layouts? Would mind picking one up. Is it Bachmann? Bachmann do. So Bachmann US do. There's also a Thurn, Arnold, Rapido trains. There's a number of actual manufacturers that do cater for the American market. Model Power, there's another one. Walthers. So there's a lot of choice. Arguably, there's a lot more choice than there is in the UK. It's just if you're in the UK, it can be difficult to get. Oh, interesting news. Gamehammer Classic Gaming says just had it confirmed that the light flickering we had earlier was due to a brownout. People have been having trouble across town. That's interesting, actually. I remember talk being held of a brownout in Durham in the Gilesgate area a number of years ago. People saying that they experienced severe flickering of their lights shortly before I think it was a Renault dealership burnt to the ground. And it's believed that the two were connected. So one does wonder what was suddenly shorting to cause an immense brownout. So if we wake up tomorrow to a smoking shell of a building somewhere, we will know. Mark Sandwich, dear young Jenny, oops, sorry. Barstow to Vegas, I thought it was Cheese Day. Gamehammer Classic Gaming, 106 likes. That's actually 110 now, so thank you all. It's always great to have your company. I do enjoy hanging out with you guys, and I do feel humbled and honoured that you've chosen to spend your Monday evening with me, or indeed your Monday at any part of the day, depending on where you are in the world. There's a lot of people watching from Canada, Australia, USA, as well as the UK, and other parts of the world too. Oh yes, Kato as well. I think they're a Japanese manufacturer, but they do a lot for the US market. Family Model Railway, a lot out there for the American logos, just not so easy to get them in the UK yet. Arcadia Models in Shaw do actually stock quite a good range of American outline stuff. Yeah, Bluegrass Rail Fences, I have about 85 Kato locomotives. I've heard good things about them, but I don't have immediate experience myself. Howkin Junction, it's all about Hollands pies. Hate pucker pies, all pastry, no filling. I do like Hollands pies, actually. Steak and kidney, and the cheese and onion's good and all. Leslie Gilpin, if doing USA N-scale, Kato locos will run with treacle on your rails. Extremely reliable. Sophie B, hi everyone, I'm Sophie from England, new to live, so checking it out if that's okay. You're absolutely welcome. Always great to have new faces on board. Welcome to the Jenny Monday Club. All are welcome, and it's great to have you all on. Can we get over 200 people watching, I wonder? Don't forget to let everybody know that we're live and dangerous on here. Big Sid, I nearly had a brownout when my brakes failed. I need a sound effect machine. Ba-da-bum. New Mills Model Railway. It's always nice to chill for a couple of hours with you, Jenny. A relaxed atmosphere to just talk model railways. Wood for my baseboard finally ordered. That is a great moment, isn't it? I remember when I got all the wood together for Weir Yard, and somewhere on the internet I did share a photograph of effectively a huge flat pack of wood stuffed into my Volvo saloon, and boot lid was up, and I had to drive back from the wood yard with the boot lid up. Let's have a look. Hi, great live stream and tips, says Jordan Raymond. Thank you very much. Barnabas Junction, Malcolm Model. Oh, it's just gone off the top. I have to ask that again, I'm afraid. Oh, blooming heck, it's all go, isn't it? Yeah, family model railway. All out of all my locos, Engage USA, the Kato are fantastic and run really well. Bluegrass rail fan, Lombard trains might be worth checking. They're in Chicago, but ship internationally, I believe. Excellent. Ham Shackleton says showing 199 watching now. Oh, 198 just as I looked. Gosh, you get every time I look at the figures on the screen, you basically just get a big look at my forehead. Jamie Smith, pucker pies are the best pies ever. Oh, we have some contention here. Some people go Holland, some people go pucker pies. Oh dear. In the interest of science, I will try both. Mark Wilson. Oh, sorry, I thought a brownout was something else. Ruined my PJs. Bit of a New Mills Model Railway. Luckily, mine is being delivered. Don't think it'll fit in my little Ford car. I don't think it will. It was a tough fit, actually, in a Volvo 850. New Mills Model Railway. Oh, sorry, I've just read that one. Ian Ryan. I've collected the wood for my baseboard. It's stacked in the loft, and I had it on the roof rack of my old Volvo 740. You still got a 740? My first car was a Volvo 740 Saloon, a 740 GL. It had precisely none of the optional extras, cloth trim, 5-speed manual. I loved that car. I cried when I had to get rid of it because the back axle, the bearings just chewed themselves and destroyed the bearing mounts in the process. So I do sadly miss that car. So 740, keep the mark alive. 740s are a great car. Somebody said 200. Oh, 203. Oh, Foxhill Railway says, liked your photos selected for MRC Facebook page. Thank you very much. It's one of those things, sometimes the little photos you capture in the spur of the moment are the best photos ever. If you try and pose things, sometimes you can end up with a photo that isn't as good as the spontaneous ones, where you just see that little moment and think, boom, I'm going to have that. Nick says, think Going Loco in Loft House has some US models. Loft House, is that near Leeds? Do let me know where that is. It's not a shop I'm actually familiar with, it has to be said. Carl Mitchell says, new to your channel in the world of model railway, have limited space, but I'm planning a layout. Fantastic channel. Thank you very much. Honoured to have you aboard. It's always great to have new faces, new people commenting, and all are welcome here on the Jenny Monday Club. Great to have you all in, and don't forget to tickle that like button and also let other people know about the channel. We're sort of talking, we've digressed into the world of model railways and stuff at the moment, but it's great. For those of you who weren't here at the beginning, just to let you know, the trains that you can see scooting around in the background, we've got a Helgen Class 26, which you'll see on this track in a bit. I think it's in coal sector livery, something like that. That's a fairly new Helgen model, really nice. I didn't do a review of that because I bought the last one that Rails of Sheffield were selling. But it is a super reliable loco, and actually Class 27 in Tops Blue probably, although I do quite like the factory weathered green with yellow ends with the Tops number 27001. I'm actually quite tempted by that, so I may have to go shopping again. I buy too much stuff here. I've also got a Helgen Class 28 in Rail Blue D5701 going round on the outermost track. Not sure how much of that you'll see, with a huge long line of 16-ton mineral hoppers. Also got a Daypole Class 22 D6318 going round on oil tanks. You will see that on somewhere behind me, just coming into view. You can just see it, that's going round. The last locomotive is Somerset Andy was very, very kind and gave me, it was amazingly generous of you, thank you again. He gave me a Bachmann Class 47 to plug a gaping hole in my fleet, and it's an intercity swallow livery. One of my favourite liveries as well. What's not to like about that model? And at some point, actually, I wouldn't mind trying to fit that with a sound chip. So I'm thinking actually Soundtrack's sound decoder. They're actually pretty favourably priced. You can get a Class 47 sound out of that. So it's one that's on the radar. Bish bash bosh. I'm just sorry. The comments are coming in so fast. They keep moving before I can read them. Warrington Trainspotter says, will you be watching GMRC if it returns this year, Jenny? Well, of course. Always be nice to see what's going on. I think the thing about GMRC, in some respects, everybody who's involved with GMRC2, if it does continue, we had the easiest ride. The format was established, so everybody knew what they were doing, and the standards were up just enough that it was still very accessible, but great fun, and we were really able to push the boat out and kind of built on what they'd established in Series 1, a bit like Robot Wars. In many ways, Robot Wars really kicks off in Series 2. For the people who come in Series 3 onwards, the bar is going to be continually raised, and they've got to keep on coming up with new ideas. So I don't envy them. It's going to be hard work, but yeah, I'll certainly be watching it. As far as I know, they've not been recommissioned for Series 3 just yet. I was speaking to Pat Doyle, the series producer, a few days ago actually. Got a text message from him because the rights to show GMRC have been sold to Swedish television, or at least syndication rights have. So out in Sweden, GMRC is starting with Series 1 being shown on Swedish television from, I think it's February sometime. So I was talking to him about that. But as of yet, Channel 5 have not confirmed if they are recommissioning it. So Mark Wilson, Jenny, do you run locos in a period or just what you like? Kind of what I like, but generally speaking, the layout you see behind me is usually running in a late 70s through to late 80s guise. So the rolling stock, the coaching stock, and the locomotives loosely fit in with that kind of period. There is a little bit of leeway. So, for example, the Class 22s were pretty much all gone before 1972. But I like the loco. It's a really great loco. So there is a little bit of bending the rules. But then also, I love a lot of steam locomotives, and I have a lot of rolling stock. So occasionally, I clear all the tracks up here. And then what I do is basically I lay it all out as the steam era. But what tends to happen is it lingers for a long time in this sort of BR Blue tops period. But when I set it up for steam running, I do it maybe a week, and then I put it back to the BR diesels. See what else we've got going on. Ham Shackleton says, if you find my YouTube channel, I've got a remote control loco I use for track cleaning. Now you can get this Daypole, Gauge Master, and is it KMX or Walthers, somewhere like that. All do track cleaning wagons. So there are a variety of things you can get. I personally don't use anything in the region of track cleaning wagons, but yeah, I'll just use the elbow grease and a track rubber. Ian Ryan, GMRC3, where are we going? We don't need rails. Yeah. Colin Williams, Gem, my Class 47 Firefly with TTS sound, a decent speaker is great. Interesting, I did wonder, had Hornby done TTS Class 47 chips in the past? I did search and search, couldn't find them, but that was basically would have been perfect for it. I'm going to have to keep hunting, actually. Mark Wilson, do you think the Class 22 is the saddest looking loco? Yeah, they nicknamed it Old Sad Eyes, actually. Ben Davis, interesting. Hi Jenny, if you go to the Facebook page now, you can get Oxford Diecast 2020 announcements, but sadly no photos of the product. Interesting. And now I can't do it because I'm using my phone to actually do the live stream on, but I'm just interested, what have they put up? Station Road Model Railway says, I just bought a Soundtracks UK diesel decoder for my Bachmann Class 20. Have video on my channel. Motive sounds are good, but other sound effects are a bit average. We'll be trying an iPhone speaker. Now, one thing I'll be saying about the Soundtracks, I can actually get it running for you. Right, this is a Bachmann Class 37, and it's got a Soundtracks decoder in set to do Class 37. And this locomotive, as you can hear, actually sounds really good. So the Class 37 file on it is really good. The first generation DMU sound file, excuse me, that's on there as well, I quite like. I used that on my Class 101. Actually, enough of that now. But they do have an annoying habit. They start the sound the moment they get power, rather than waiting for you to tell them to sound up. So if you've got a layout full of them, it can get noisy. I did try some of the other sounds, but for Class 20s, I have to say the Hornby TTS chip for the Class 20 is really, really good. And at nearly half the price of the Soundtracks decoder, I personally go for the TTS Class 20. But in terms of things like the Class 37, I prefer the Soundtracks 37 to the TTS one. If I've missed any of your comments, by the way, just ask them again, because they're scrolling off the screen really quick. Lifestyle Unleashed, oh no, it's just gone off the top of the screen. Jamie Smith just refreshed, 122 now. Oh, 187 according to me, but there's 124 likes. Might be the likes you're talking about. Bob Patterson, wish we could get the GMRC out here in Australia, and even better, an Aussie version. Now, I know that Ken Patterson is trying to push for a US version, so there is hope. Of course, if anybody's looking for somebody to fly out to Oz and be the guest judge, then yours truly is always available. And my best side, no, I haven't got a best side. Brockwell Lane says, I'd like to see more Australian layouts, bet you can't get models over here. I have seen an Australian outline railway doing the rounds in the UK on exhibitions, and it actually was really good. I did like some of the wagons and locomotives. One of the problems was, as the operator said, that they can be very expensive. Ian Turvey, I'm looking at building a layout and going over to DCC, currently looking at Bachmann's offering. I've thought about getting their Whiskey Galore set to get started. What do you recommend? Now, the whiskey, well, the grain wagons in there are pretty old tooling. What I would suggest is actually, what would I suggest? I quite like the Gauge Master. It's the Prodigy Express 2. I found this pretty good. I know, you know, different strokes for different folks. But the very basic Bachmann DCC controller, I've heard a lot of people say it's a bit too basic. So I would suggest that maybe spend a few quid more and get something a little bit more upmarket, and that way you don't find yourself upgrading at a later date. Jamie Smith, is the 22 the one that's like a 37 with its nose cut off? Actually, no, the 22 probably looks a lot more like a Class 25 that's kind of been smacked against a wall. It is, they call it old sad eyes. In fact, come here you. It's still going round. You can just stop there. It's got to stay alive, and it's actually very, very impressive. It's the Train-Zomatic Smart Power Pack. I've just filmed a review on them, and they're truly amazing. But this is a Class 22. So if you're wondering, this is what old Sad Eyes looks like. As you can see, probably more like a Class 25 than a 37. But certainly, I think they've got a character all to themselves. Spoked wheels as well in there too. I like them. Daypole model. Also a little bit similar to the Class 21s and the Class 29s. I believe they're all a North British product. Although the Class 22 is diesel hydraulic. The Class 21s and Class 29s are diesel electric. Right, let me just try and get this back on the track. It's going to immediately start trying to trundle off. Right, where were we? Ah, yes. Heritage Rose says, hello Jenny, I know you're well. Yes, thanks, I am, and I hope you're well too. Great to have you aboard. Always good to have people on the live stream. And don't forget to like this video, share it too. Let everybody else know about the Jenny Monday Club. Fox Hill Railway, like a professional. Yeah! Yeah, professional Wally, that's me. Let's have a look. Lifestyle Unleashed, Ham Shackleton, use them for video. Answer to somebody else's question. Find it, restore it. Good evening to you, great to have you aboard. Family Model Railway, we still looking at going DCC. I've got to put in a lot more power drops first. Yeah, essentially DCC is a little bit more finicky, essentially because the locomotives can just stop dead. When they even momentarily lose power. That's where a smart power pack, something like that, is quite useful. But it's a lot of the same practices that really you should be doing in DC. So if your layout is well wired to run on DC, it's absolutely fine for running on DCC. Mark Samways, dear young Jenny, sorry keyboard probs, thanks for the track manufacturers. And so will I need special or specific to join tracks from different makers? No, they should all be compatible with each other, absolutely fine. One potential issue, I don't know whether you will come up against this, is sometimes the fish plates could be on the wrong side on set track, but you can just pull them off and move them. It's not a problem. The tracks tend to go by the code number. So you may have heard about code 75, code 100, code 123, code 143, code 83, code 55, code 60, code 80. All of these different things. It's the thickness of the rail, and actually it's the height of the rail from top to bottom in thousandths of an inch, would you believe? So code 100 is literally 100 one-thousandths of an inch high. Code 75 is 75 one-thousandths of an inch high. So that's how it all works. Ian Turvey says, thanks for the advice on the DCC. You're absolutely welcome. I like the Class 29. It's got sad eyes. Yeah, I think they're quite quirky. It's such a shame that actually none survived from Class 22, 21 and 29. I believe that there was a Class 21 that was at Barry Scrapyard even into the early 1980s, and it was cut around 1982. And that was one of the ones that got away in the early days of diesel preservation. A Class 22 was actually bought for preservation. Unfortunately, due to a cock-up by BR staff, they accidentally cut it up, and they rather embarrassingly had to then give the people who bought the Class 22 a Class 42 as an alternative, because it basically destroyed somebody else's property. Ben Davis says, Jenny, have you got the Hornby 2020 range catalogue? I tend not to buy catalogues, it has to be said. I have seen it, and probably will in years to come become quite a collector's item, but no, it's not something that I've got for myself. I tend to look at the cost of a catalogue as being I could buy another wagon with that money. It's just the way I am. I tend to go online to look at ranges. I don't collect catalogues. Back when I was getting the Bachmann catalogue through the Bachmann Collectors Club, at the end of the year, I put it in the recycling. It's just the way I am. Mark Wilson. They need an international GMRC, teams from different countries, like it's a knockout. If you remember that show, I do remember that. It's a knockout. I think these are all format ideas that are probably being explored to some degree by the TV company, but not seen them as yet. I suspect what would have to happen first is either it be syndicated to other countries and be successful, or other countries have their own version of it, and then that may come. Jamie Smith says, I like the 22, not my era, but I do like the look of them. Yeah, I think they are quite an attractive locomotive in their quirky sort of way. Ham Shackleton, though, converting a DC track to DCC, you must remove all the suppression capacitors in the connectors. Is that on the locomotives? Yeah, they do recommend that. However, if you do leave them on for whatever reason, they will work, but they can be a little bit erratic, just to be warned. It's not like destroying chips kind of faux pas, but you will get much better running from your locomotives with those capacitors removed. Howkin Junction says Hornby track is a smidgen bigger than Pico, but still work together. Yeah, I can absolutely attest to that. They are pretty good together. Mark Wilson, we've already read that. J. Paul Anderson, code 75 Bullhead, finest and most accurate double low gauge track. Yeah, I've seen that around. Unfortunately, I'd already got so much track in. I stuck with code 100. Because I had a lot of point work and stuff, and it can get very expensive to replace all of your track. And also, if like with Weir Yard, everything's ballasted and stuck down, it really isn't an option to change the track up here now. Anfield Road train layout in Loft. Hi Jen, hi to you, great to have you here. Don't forget to tell everybody about the Monday Club live chat. It's great to have you all aboard. Always honoured that you choose your Monday night to come and hang out with me. And did we actually get any feedback? So somebody said they went to have a look at the Facebook page for Oxford Rail, and it's saying what the announcements are. I am curious, what are the Oxford Rail announcements? Because I genuinely don't know at this stage. Mark Samways, dear young Jenny, brilliant info, much relieved. You're absolutely welcome. Family Model Railways. Do you do a video on that Smoky? Are you going to do a video on that Smoky? Oh, this is to somebody else. The avoidance of that, I don't have any Smoky Joes. Not my thing. I do know there are a few videos out there on YouTube of people playing about with Smoky Joes. Somerset Andy, I have one line on DC and the other one on DCC. They work fine. Yeah, as long as you separate them. Now, up here on Weir Yard, the outermost track, the one that the Class 28 is chugging around, I'm not even actually sure how much it appears on camera. You might briefly see it when it passes over there. That is completely isolated from the rest of the layout. It then runs through a switch that allows me to switch it between the DCC controller and a DC controller. Now at the moment it's running as DCC, but you can flip between them. But you have to have those insulating rail joiners where the track work joins up. So I've got one crossover over there, and that is completely insulated. And that's how I do that. And that means that you can run DC locos up here, but only on that line. But you can also use that line for DCC locos. And at the moment, I've now nearly finished, DCC fitting all of my locomotives. So I tend to leave it set as a DCC line, because I'm looking up there, and there's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 6, 27, 28, 29. I can count 29 locos up here which are not DCC fitted, but that said, there's some of them like split chassis. The Class 4 diesel shunter from Bachmann, probably not going to fit them. So there are a few locos in that 29 which aren't going to get DCC fitted. Leslie Gilpin says GMRC wouldn't work sadly in the USA. The commercial breaks are too frequent and too long. That said, it could go on a subscription channel, so I don't know, HBO or something. I don't know. Yeah, Ham Shackleton. The capacitors corrupt the digital data from the controller to the decoders, hence the erratic running. Lifestyle Unleashed says, is that the Hunslet I see there, Jenny? Had it running yet? Hunslet. Hunslet. I'm trying to think if I have a Hunslet. Are we talking about the Hunslet Austerity? No, if you look at this is actually, I think it's a Bachmann 45XX Prairie tank is what this one is. I just had it out earlier on. Somebody was asking for recommendations for a small locomotive for branch line running. But just give me one moment. The Hunslet I do... Oh, sorry, I've just given you a flash of my belly again, haven't I? Sorry, it'll be fixed, don't worry. Give it a couple of months, I'll get rid of that. I do have this Hornby Hunslet Austerity and fully DCC track. No weird squawking noises. So if I go loco 7 and that's... This is a Hunslet Austerity, the Hornby one, and it is DCC fitted. It had to be hard fitted, and I'm waiting for Hornby to actually have more of the 4-pin decoders back in stock. I think we're aiming for, I think it's April 2020 that it's supposed to be back in stock. And then I'm going to do a hard wiring guide for the Hornby Hunslet Austerity tanks, they're J94s, because they're a really great locomotive, and actually they're quite easy to DCC fit, so well worth the effort. One of these days Hornby might actually get round to upgrading the chassis to be DCC ready, and that would make things a lot better. Now I'm going to hold my jumper down so you don't see my belly. So there we go, that's the only Huns that I've got. Lifestyle Unleashed, the GWR Huns that are... Right, I'm with you now. No, I've got them down here out of the way. I haven't actually DCC fitted it yet. I'm waiting for... Oh, Leslie Gill... Oh, side belly. We prefer to call them love handles. No, we don't. We just call it flabby. Pinch an inch, and then another inch, and the other, and a half, and another half. Would you believe it? I used to have a natural 26-inch waist. I'll get there again eventually. Oh. But yeah, no, the 3D printed models, we did a review. Actually, that review went really well. It's had well over 2,000 views. It's turning into one of my more popular reviews, actually, and we're going to be following up on that, because the Fireless Loco in particular, I want to complete that and turn that into a lovely little model. And I'm thinking of actually painting it up and the same colour of blue that the Huntley and Palmers had a fireless locomotive. So I must look into that, whether they were lettered the same as the W4 Peckett's were. But certainly I'm going to paint that up in blue. I'm going to get a chassis fitted on it. Now the big thing to look out for with fireless locos is that the cylinders tend to be underneath the cab. So the donor chassis, got to turn it round. With Stanton Junction... Oh, sorry, answering somebody else's questions there. Leslie Gilpin, Prince Edward directed and produced that as... oh, what's that? I've missed what you're all talking about. Oh, Ham Shackleton. Larger ladies are more cuddly. Thin ones, their bones stick out. Would you believe, I used to have a chest that you could play like a xylophone, my rib cage, and I don't know what happened. I think I discovered pies and beer. J. Paul Anderson, Jenny, have you considered the Bachmann 45-ton Ransoms and Rapier crane? Yes, I certainly have, but at the £212 price tag, it's like a bit expensive, and especially with the Hornby 2020 announcement, the money's got to be spread thinly about. It's as simple as that. And £212 is actually quite a lot of money to spend for what actually amounts to 4 wagons. So nice as though it would be to have one, and yes, Foxhill Railway, it would go round this layout, because the Bosch Buster from Oxford Rail will go round this layout. It's just too expensive for me. I'm really sorry, but £212 is currently what Hattons and Rails have got it on, roughly thereabouts. It's just too expensive. Lifestyle Unleashed, the chassis for your Fireless has been ordered. It's a prototype with our new metal cylinders. We'll check it before sending. I really do look forward to that, and maybe we'll have an update video on putting that together, because actually I think it's quite an interesting little project, and it's certainly garnered a lot of interest. So we're going to be doing that as a follow-up on the 3D printed stuff from Enwin's 3D models. Berry 120, I think Pico produced some bullhead rail that's the correct space these days. Yes, they do. It's an all-new range that they're slowly bringing out, and it does look very, very good. And actually, when you're so used to like the stuff we've had for years, it does look a bit peculiar, I must say. J. Paul Anderson, yeah, certainly on the steep side, definitely. Certainly is, I'm afraid. Mark Wilson, why has Hornby and Pico never produced track to the correct sleeper spacing? It takes me ages to respace to 5.5mm. I think it's just a tradition. This goes back to the sleeper spacing that Triang and Hornby 00 and people like that, Juef, back in the day used to produce. And also, I think the sleeper spacing is just actually HO sleeper spacing. It's more to what the Continental stuff would be correct for, 3.5mm to the foot, and I suspect it's just that, and we've kind of ended up stuck with it. Bob Patterson, now time to say goodnight, or good morning, Bob. Good to see you, Jenny and Zoe, and all viewing. Good night to you too. You sleep well. It's been great having you on, and actually we've had a really great turnout tonight. We're currently at 189 people viewing, 135 likes. Don't forget to hit that like button if you haven't already done so, and share the stream as well. Let other people know that we can all come and hang out here and talk model trains on the Jenny Monday Club. Yeah, Brockwell Lane, agreed. £212 is too much for something without a motor. I actually think that I think we've reached the point. There's people for a long time have been saying, you know, when locomotives go over the £100 barrier, now they're going over the £200 barrier. I think that the 45-ton Ransoms crane has kind of reached that point where people say too much. I think it's very much reached that point. And I wouldn't be surprised to see that crane gets discounted in the next 6 months to 8 months. I could be wrong, but I don't think they're selling as well as perhaps Bachmann would have hoped. Mark Wilson, oh, belly. Oh, calm down, calm down. Anfield Road trains layout in Loft, hi to you. Mohammed Shahid, hello to you. Leslie Gilpin, Pico do some N scale track for US market, correct for their spacing, sadly only concrete sleepers. Actually, Pico do some 00 track specifically for the US market, and they do that in code 83, and it has the correct sleeper spacing, or should we say railroad tie spacing. In America they have far more frequent ties, I believe, and the reason for that is to do with the substructure. They have less heavily engineered substructure and have increased number of railroad ties to compensate for that. Yeah, Ham Shackleton, absolutely right. You have to consider how often your breakdown crane would run. Almost never in real life, certainly. And also, they wouldn't run just the crane. There's a whole train to go with them. Packing vans, tool vans, crew vans. So there is a whole breakdown train to make up. It's not just the crane itself. Kent Train Fan, hello, I made it. Hi to you. Also, don't forget, everybody, it's great to have you aboard, but don't forget you can catch up with everything that you might have missed after the live stream. This video gets processed up and it ends up on YouTube as a proper video that you can go back and watch again and again, catch up with the bits you missed, and re-watch anything that you want to watch again. Let's have a look. Melchester Model Railway says, can't imagine how you'd respace sleepers on points. Yeah, I can imagine that's hard work. Matmas 2, what I want to know is, people are like, yeah, you've got to pay for detail. Rubbish, I say. Look at how cheap Dapol 66 and O gauge is coming out. I've seen it for 269 quid. Yeah, some of that Dapol O gauge is really favourably priced. Also, the other thing as well is that Oxford Rail brought out that Bosch Buster railgun for underneath 50 quid, so it can be done. D827 Kelly says, time to go, catch you tomorrow. Okay, you take care, and also reminds me very much, it's been great to have you aboard, but it reminds me very much that tomorrow morning, probably between 9 and 10 o'clock, I will put a post out on the Facebook page. I'm going to be covering the Oxford Rail announcements as they happen. Trying to get Scott Rhodes on from Oxford Rail. I sent him a message inviting him on to do an interview like we did with Michael Day when the Hornby announcements were made. But obviously I know he's going to be very super busy. Have we got... I keep seeing like something darting around up here. Have we got a fly or something, or just a big speck of dust? Not sure what's going on there. Ian Ryan says, I think it hit 202 views. I think we did go over 200 at one point. Barry 120, I saw 196 watching at one point. I was really hoping it hit the 200 mark. I'm sure we got to about 206 at one point. Mark Wilson, I would imagine that the Australian freight trains are similar to the US ones with multiple power units. Who manufactures the Australian locos? Are they American? I'm not sure, actually. They did certainly used to import stuff from the UK. Bayer Peacock made an awful lot of stuff. Metropolitan Vickers as well, possibly. In terms of what they've got now, I'm not entirely sure. I don't know if Angus's trains are still in the room or not, but certainly anybody from Australia, do let us know, actually, who does make your modern trains. Don Cragen, the 120th anniversary Lionel Big Book catalogue just came out in the US. The latest Vision Line O-Scale 3-rail GS1 Northerns have a list price of $2,199.99. It is amazing, but not in my budget. Yeah, you do wonder, why don't they just call it $2,200 and have done with it? It's like, you know, here's your 1 cent back, don't spend it all in one place. D87 Kelly, the cheaper Dapol wagons are old Airfix tooling. Actually, some of them are old Hornby 00 tooling as well. Lifestyles Unleashed. So much going on with Hornby, Oxford Rail and Daypole 2020 launches. Certainly, yeah. I mean, it's become a very expensive year. And we've not even got to the Bachmann announcements in February. It's either 4th or 5th of February. Let's have a look. Jamie Smith, bring back the TV advert. Belly's going to get you, for those that remember the ad. But what if we're advertising now? People stop going on about my belly. I will lose it. I hope. Well, maybe. Maybe I'll just wear a girdle like Captain Kirk in Series 2 onwards. Ian Ryan, 2,200. I've never paid that for a car. I have. I bought a Nissan Micra brand new, pre-registered from the dealership. And I think that cost me about 5,000 or £6,000. I got it at a really good price, but yeah, I have spent more, but it was an entire car. My first car actually only cost me £100, and the second one cost me £350. So yeah, that is a lot of money. Leslie Gilpin, I think a lot of Australian diesels are or were US models built under license locally. Some seen more direct imports from the EMD and General Electric. James Moody, modern Australian locos are a mix of locally assembled from EMD or GE parts, plus some coming from China. Interesting. Yeah, I suppose geographically you guys are ideally situated to import from both the US and China. It's a bit of a long-winded route to get stuff from the UK, and actually we've lost pretty much all of our loco manufacturing capability. How Conjunction, Jenny, do what I do. Take my specs off. Bam, belly gone. Works a treat. Edges gone as well. In fact, the room gone. That's the thing. I take my glasses off. I know somebody last week, I think it was, said, "Oh, you've gone to all the trouble of putting eye makeup on. Wear contact lenses." I can't wear contact lenses because they react with the front of my eyes and they cause my eye to grow extra blood vessels, which can in turn make you go blind, as it was explained to me by the optician. So I stopped wearing contact lenses and I have to wear glasses, which is a shame because I wore contact lenses for probably the best part of 15-20 years, and being the vain person that I am, much preferred it. But unfortunately I can't see any great clarity without my glasses, and because I can't wear contact lenses I have to wear glasses. Very, very much a shame, but that's what happens when you get old. Mark Wilson, Jenny, which is the best film, Life of Brian or The Holy Grail? Life of Brian, of course. Ian Ryan, my old Volvo 740 cost me 300 quid and it's passed every MOT for 7 years. I paid 100 quid for mine and I put nearly 50,000 miles on it before the back axle expired. And actually the rest of it was in pretty decent nick. It was just at the time it was considered a worthless car. That would have been 2004 and it was an F-Reg. Mark Singleton, hi Jenny. Any new on Oxford diecast for when they're releasing the 2020 range? I don't know as yet, but I will put out a post hopefully on my Facebook channel and maybe try and get a message out through YouTube subscribers. So if you're not already subscribed, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and you'll be the first to know about new videos and other such stuff as and when they go up. Bish bash bosh. Mark Wilson, Jenny, does it get cold in the loft? No, it doesn't. It is very well insulated up here. The first thing I did when I converted my loft was I thoroughly insulated it. Now it uses Ecotherm, 3-inch thick like foam board, which is foil backed top and bottom. That's been put in on top of the rafters, not between but on top. I wanted to maintain that air gap. Then on top of that, running the other way is 1 inch of jab light, and then over the top of that it's then boarded out with plywood, and that's how I've done the insulation up here. And the end gain from that is that actually it is reasonably keeping its temperature. It does not get incredibly cold up here, and actually the worst of the heat in summer is also kept out, because you have to remember insulation works both ways. Decent insulation keeps your house warm in winter and it keeps it cool in summer. because I've been up here before it was converted, and in summer, because you've got the dark slate tiles, and it was really very much like going into an oven. It was that, excuse me, it was that hot. So there is a little bit of a chill in the air, but not overly so, and it doesn't sink the heat from the house. Other things that I've done up here, I used a 1-inch layer of jab light on the floor as well. So one of the reasons that you saw the camera sort of shaking when Zoe was moving about, it's not because I've got loose floors in any way, but it's because the jab light squishes a little bit. Paul Higgins, hi Jenny, have you got any plans for another layout anywhere else? Well, I've built some little small things down here. So I've got my O gauge layout down there. I've got a diorama that we did for Hornby. I've got no immediate plans to build a permanent layout anywhere. But in terms of like going to exhibitions, I could well see myself building another layout sometime soon as a project. And you guys, if you've subscribe to the channel, you'll be the first to know about the projects as they come up, because they will be being done for YouTube. I think we're losing. Oh, what's that? Cottersmore says, "Wait, point motors rips it all out." Yeah. My first layout I built without point motors. In fact, my first layout that I built, I fell into all the usual pitfalls, and I always recommend point motors because, quite frankly, the thing about point motors is that you get a much more positive change of the points. They're less likely to cause a nuisance, and actually you will find in a lot of instances, certainly on the layout this kind of size, that having remote switching points, so you can hear the click there, and the flash of light you're seeing is the CDU recharging itself. I used a light bulb rather than a resistor so that it just helps on the diagnostics. Imaging just sit in one place, and it's a lot easier. You can also get the points to change things like frog polarity a lot better as well. I know some people go for the wire and tube method, but I've never really got on with that. And certainly with a layout like this, where there's something like 65 points between the three different layers, because there's a hidden fiddle yard underneath. It's just so much easier to change all of those by point motors. The Growler Blackwood Engage layout says over 200 on the chat. Oh gosh, yes, 206. It's great to have you all aboard. I always feel really honoured that you guys choose to hang out on Monday night with me. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already done so, and also don't forget to tickle that like button and share it too. Let other people know that we're doing this live stream. We're doing it every Monday from 7 PM GMT. Who else we got in? What's that? Marty McFly. Message for Cupboard Monkey. Get a Bridget Jones style video of Jenny tonight as is. We'll get 1 million views the way everyone is going crazy about it. Okay, take your word for it. To be honest, I can think of 1 million things I could do to get a viral video, but I'm not going to do any of them. The Zacco Luke show. Hello to you. How are you doing? It's great to have you aboard. Always great to see new people. O'Neill, what's the highest view you've had whilst you live stream? I guess probably about now. I think I've had about 250, 260 when I did the Hornby live stream. So we're a little way off it yet, but certainly we're doing all right. Hark, is that the sound of a cupboard monkey? I thought I heard somebody on the ladder. Flymo Chairman 1. Hang on. Oh, right, yes. I thought the Russian gauge is something like 5'2", 5'3". Australia has some narrow gauge, and then it's also got some standard gauges in 4'8.5". But things like, I think the Puffing Billy is narrow gauge. Jonesy Tynan Weir Transport says, "Hi Jenny, hi to you. Great to have you aboard. And how's you doing, Jen? I love watching your videos. Do you ever go to Central Station in Newcastle? And have you been to Stevenson's Railway in North Tyneside?" I have to say, I've never been to the Stevenson Museum, but I have been to Newcastle Central many, many times. In fact, practically spent the night there a couple of occasions, having missed the last train home to Durham back when I lived up in the northeast. So yeah, very, very familiar with Newcastle Central Station. Started ending up going there from 1997 through to 2000, and then again from 2005 to 2007. So yeah, know it well. Stanton Junction. Oh, my screen's just gone off. Where's that gone? Start at the top before it disappears off. Mohammed Shahid bought an old weathered Smoky Joe off eBay, and I love it. Yeah, they are really quite a good little starter loco. Actually, so many people started out with those, and certainly in the 1980s, I had a couple of them bought for me. And used to call them a pocket rocket, although I gather my middle-aged 40-year-old self has been told that actually pocket rocket means something else to the youth of today. With Stanton Junction, hi Jenny, went to my local heritage centre on Sunday and got to go inside a class 3. It was great. Yeah, there are great little locos. I got to ride in the cab of one at the Forley Hill Railway, and also I've been in the cab of one at Ruddington at the Great Central Railway Northern place. They had one there and I was able to get in the cab. James Moody, Australia has 3'6", 4'8.5", and 5'3". There's one place that had a turntable with all 3 on it. I didn't realise they went bigger than 4'8.5". Let's have a look. 200 watching. Good gosh. Yeah, it's just gone down to 198, but it comes and goes. We're hovering around the 200 mark, sometimes above, sometimes below. But it's great to have you all in. It's just, I always feel really honoured and humbled that you guys want to just hang out with me, talking model trains and stuff, shooting the breeze up here in the loft with Weir Yard. And I'm going to see actually if I can actually move that round. So we're just getting an idea of Weir Yard. There's no actual trains there, which is a little bit annoying, but it's going to move you around over here as well, so you can see everything that's going on over there. So you can actually see some of the trains a bit more. In fact, I'm just going to move round. Let's have a different background, shall we? So I'm kind of just like hovering in the corner here, but you get to see some of the trains going back at the back there. So what have we got? Yeah, Australia has 5'3" broad gauge as well. I've watched a few point of view videos from Australia. That's interesting. I didn't realise that they had broad gauge as well. Fox Hill Railway says, Jen, show Les's work. Okay, well this is possibly going to be a bit tricky, but I'm going to move it round and just over there. All right. So this we're at a weird angle because the tripod's set up for the slope in the floor going the other way. There's actually a brick wall that runs straight across the middle of the loft, so the floor humps over it, and the end result is when I've turned the camera around, the humps the other way for the tripod. So basically that's why it's got a jaunty angle. My loft is level, it's just you aren't. And stop it. You can't get the staff. But this is Les's work back here, so you'll have seen the video, and I'm just trying to read the comments as they come up. Do you have a train spot at Central Station? What do you feel about scrapping Pacer 142s to HST? Do you like Azuma? The modern stuff doesn't actually tickle me in any way, it has to be said.
But I can.
You stop it. This is the cupboard monkey, by the way, and I have to live with this.
So yeah,
don't get to
you don't have to, you get to.
Yeah, that's it. But class 142s, I think I would be tempted to get a model of them in their very early liveries, if only I remember as a kid riding on them. But we called them nodding donkeys, and nothing more tragic and amusing at the same time than watching the guard on a train to Walkden on the then jointed track on that route bang his head on the roof, because it was like, and actually smacked him up against the roof, which probably wasn't clever for him, But that's just how bad that I used to ride. The HST, I'm actually getting a little bit more switched on to. I can see myself from the new Hornby range. I'm quite taken with the Intercity Swallow liveried HST. So I may yet get myself one of those at some point. But you know, it's expense. There's a lot of other things that I really, really want. Martin McFly says everybody should have a cupboard monkey. Derek Grant, look good from here. He's done well. A family model railway. That sounds like the train line on the island. Foxhill Railway, Brockwell Lane. Wow, right. So answering another comment. So I'm going to turn this around because it's a bit difficult on my knees, crouching down here, and I literally have to read your comments as they come up for a split second on the screen. So Evan Railway 2019. Hi to you. But I'm going to turn this around. But that is Les's handiwork. You're seeing the Class 26 go across there. The Class 28, incidentally, is just coming into view. You're actually seeing all 4 trains now there. So enjoy that whilst it lasts. All 4 trains trundling by. But there we are. Right, I'm going to turn you back round. So actually, we get a tour of Weir Yard. Right. So, actually, if I go around here a little bit, then I block out the light from there. Right, anyway, Leslie Gilpin, stretch edits is all still wide gauge in Ireland. Yeah, and Northern Ireland and Southern Ireland as well. Derek Grant, look good from here, done well. We read that out. Family Model Railway, it sounds like, right, yeah, I've read some of these out. Evan Railway 2019, hi to you. With Staton Junction, great work from Les. Has he started work on the other side yet? Right, no. This round here, I'm just going to turn you around. Underneath the monitor, so all of this bit along here, that's where he's going to be working on next. And we're going to get like a kind of a town scene, I guess. Jamie Smith, Zoe really looks tiny from the angle she is at on the ladders. Yeah, she's like a little wiggly squisher. Marty McFly says amazing layout, Jenny. Thank you very much. It's kind of descended into a tour of Weir Yard. I always find it very hard to, you know, when you get used to something, sometimes it's like, yeah, it's just this little something. I guess that it's like when I look at other people's model railways, it's always very impressive when you first see something that you've not seen before, and you're like, wow, and you get struck by lots of little details. But you've got to remember, I've become very used to this up here. So to me, I feel bad for saying it, but I'm already getting bored with Weir Yard. It's just the way I am. I get the greatest fun out of building things. I'm looking forward to Les doing the back scene across there. I think that's really going to bring it out, given just how special his back scene over there looked. But Paul Harrison says, nice compact size loft layout. Compact. It's actually quite big, I'll have you know. We've got a wide angle lens on there, and that kind of makes things look weird. Now bear in mind, Zoe looked small even though she isn't, and that's because the lens is like making everything fit in a smaller space, so it's distorting what you're seeing. But we're probably about 18 feet by 14, 15 feet, so it's quite a big layout. I'll have you know, it fills my loft. Let's have a look. Stretch edits. Didn't know the broader gauge was all over Ireland. Yeah, as far as I know, it's the same gauge, north and south. Jonesy, Tyne and Weir Transport. Do you like cross-country voyages? Northeast call them vomits. Oh, the vomit comets. They're the worst. It's the way the exhaust passes the effluent tank and heats it up and gives you that nasty, hot sewage smell. Not a fan, I have to say. Foxhill Railway, two right. Layout is never ever finished. 57305 Northern Princess. How's Zoe? As I know she had pain in her side. And how's the cat? Cat's actually doing a lot better. We had some little treats for her, and it turns out she's allergic to the treats, which is causing a lot of her difficulties. The treats contain cheese, and cat giving her them, and actually she's been a lot better. As for Zoe, she's been for a scan. It is not gallbladder issues, doesn't appear to be liver issues, so she is doing a lot better. And I think we're just changing diet. I think maybe we've just eaten too much junk over Christmas. Paul Harrison. Father Ted moment. This is far away. Ted. Done something really mad, Ted. Really mad. I put this really far away, and now it looks really small. Whatever you do, don't call him Len. Right, Father. I didn't know he was called Len. Wouldn't have known unless you told me. Hi, Len. Right. Big Sid. Rip it all out. Build 9 elms. Guess where I'm from? I don't know. Cumbernauld? I'm just joking with you. Just joking. I know what you mean. Sometimes, in a way, building this up here was very liberating because it was a complete new space. Now, I'd had a layout in the shed. Those of you long-time subscribers to the channel will be well aware of it. Bolton Trinity Road. And it was good in its day, but it was so much smaller than this. And I outgrew it, completely finished it in a way. Security issues as well after my shed got broken into. So when I built up here, it was a clean, fresh start. And now, I'm guessing everybody has these kind of like bucket list of layouts you want to build. Now, I wanted to build Trafford Park. I did that when I built Grove Street Yard. I didn't want to build the whole Trafford Park, obviously, but a layout that had the ethos of Trafford Park. I then also wanted to build Bolton Trinity Street Station, which I did in the shed, and that's what Trinity Road was. But before both of those, I always wanted to build my own representation of Tyne Marshalling Yard. And when I started building up here, this allowed me to do that. So what you will see, I'm just going to turn this round there, is actually some of the key components of a hump marshalling yard. So on the real Tyne yard, the control tower would sit about here, and you'd have a road going across, which actually on this is just like a little stream and a culvert, because it's not Tyne yard, it's Weir yard, because I build a kind of a sense of a place rather than an actual place. Oh, hark, the cupboard monkey is upon us.
You banged on the floor?
No, I didn't actually.
Did you not?
No, didn't bang on the floor.
Someone banged on the floor.
What, badly? It may have been when I was moving round. Probably when I was moving round. I was showing people Les's handiwork and then I had to clamber back round. Do you want any more of this Coke, cupboard monkey?
No, I'm fine, thanks. There's another bottle if I want, Denny.
Yeah, I know. But tell you what.
Also, you drank from it earlier on. I'm not drinking that.
No, I nearly drank it.
Backwash. Bon appetit.
Oh, stop it. God, cupboard monkey.
Backwash.
This is what I have to put up with. This is the cupboard monkey. I think Fox Hill is going, but it's been Fox Hill Road. Sorry, guys and girls, got to go. See you next week. It's been great having you along. Thanks for joining us, and
You're getting very happy about having this.
Actually, this setup has allowed me to show off loads of stuff. Jonesy Townsend Way Transport. Do you like class 158, class 156? Do you like Transpennine class 185? I'll be honest with you. I'm not a big. I'm not a big fan of the modern image stuff, it has to be said. It's just not my thing. Flymo chairman says, oh, hello to you. The Flymo chairman is saying hello to you.
Okay. I saw a question earlier on how I'm doing. Doing fine, thanks, everyone who asked.
Evan Railway 2019 says, do you have a test track, Jenny? No, the whole layout is a test track, basically. And it's quite
a programming track.
Oh yeah, there is a programming track. So if I,
I've got it. Hold on.
No, if I, oh no, that
exactly. So you hold that.
Right. Okay. What are we? We're going to try and show you the programming track very carefully. Just here. This is my programming track. Right. Come on. Put me back. Put me. People will get travel sick. Oh, we've lost our spot. Right. Let me.
Oh dear.
Oh, that doesn't look right.
Oh,
no, it'll do. James Carroll, Jenny, when will Zoe begin her layout?
The first week of never.
It's like going back to the test track thing. Down here, I've got an O gauge layout. You can't really actually see it. If I just, you just see the end of it there. That down there is my O gauge little tiny layout. You saw the build of it. We did the full build as a YouTube special program. That I use as my test track for O gauge. I'm going to share with you actually a little trick. People say, well, you've got no O gauge. Where's your O gauge test track? Just bear with me one moment whilst I get an O gauge loco. So, bishy bashy bosh.
Here's a question for you, Jen, just as something to think about.
Yes, Cupboard Monkey?
You've done these build layout in a few hours things.
Yes, Cupboard
How
Monkey?
about, as just a challenge one time, you decided to build a layout live on air?
Could do. I can't get it.
You're having a lot of trouble there.
Yeah, I was trying to get... I was going to show off my cunning little plan that is very, very carefully hidden within Weir Yard, but I can't get access to the locomotives in O gauge that are DCC fitted to show you. So...
Is this what I'm thinking of?
What?
You straddle two lines.
Yeah, very much. So, if I want to test run an O gauge locomotive...
If I move this out the way and hold it, can you...
No, it's not that. It's just they're hidden behind the row behind.
That's what I'm saying. If I move the camera, can you do it?
Let me just... I've got to try and see if...
It's technical stuff here.
Yeah. Can I... There we are, I've got it. Let me put that one back to there. That's fine. Right. This locomotive... I want to test it. This is actually a really clever idea. If you've got, say, like an O-gauge garden rower, but you want to be able to test locomotives, you have two tracks that are close enough together that the locomotive will straddle them. I think it was that one. What was it, this
I
one?
thought it was the other two. Further back?
No, I'm sure it was here.
Well, that'd be further round then, wouldn't it?
There. Just one moment. I need to stop the class 26. Loco 2608. And you can stop. And then I need Loco 5717. Loco 5717. And there you have it, an O-gauge locomotive running on a 00 layout.
What was that?
Came off the track.
Hey, you're making your trains skate.
Yeah,
You're causing trouble for your choo-choos.
yeah. It can't go very far. Oops.
No, it
But
can't.
it can
as you
go far.
demonstrated.
Yeah, but it can go far enough to make sure it works. So, just thought you might be a bit interested in that little tip. There is an O-gauge test track, and it is very hidden on Weir Yard.
Hey, what do you like?
Like you, only slightly less accident prone.
Everyone's slightly less accident prone than me.
Right. Anyway, I've been missing out on your. Oh, we've gone
I'm
all jaunty.
Yes.
The cupboard monkey will fix the angles eventually.
Technical monkey.
Will Tucker was planning to put my layout in a sizable shed, but my loft is bigger, 26 feet by 20 feet floor. And I think that might be the better option. Any regrets at moving yours to the loft? No, actually, no regrets whatsoever. Actually, I am really, really happy on a security point of view.
Oh,
Now,
you have been so much happier
Yeah.
since you moved this.
is there any way to stop this from... There we go.
No.
When it was in the shed, we got broken into a number of years ago, but after that, the magic was worn off. Up here in the loft, there's no such security issues. Now, you've got to have a decent loft conversion. Also, pay close attention to your floor. You need decent beams. You may need to strengthen the floor because in a lot of houses, especially modern houses, they're not designed to be load-bearing in the loft. So you do have to... I stopped that on purpose, cupboard monkey. She's just pointing at something, not realising that pointing doesn't work very well when you can't see the person. You know, it's like pictures on the radio. They don't really work.
Yes, they do.
So actually, I think that a loft is far better than a shed. Now, actually, I've had much more quality usage out of this room than I ever did out of the shed.
And I can add to that.
Oh, here you are, cupboard monkey. Mark
I
Wilson,
can add to that.
who would win a
She's-
race, Sonic, Spyro or Crash Bandicoot?
Sonic, he's the fastest. Here's the thing, Jen. Ever since we had the problem with the break-in, Jen has never been happy with Weir Yard. Sorry, not Weir Yard. Bolton Trinity Road. She was always out there to play a little bit, but kept all of her trains in the house, and really was frustrated with the fact that she couldn't have her layout just laid out ready to go. She had to keep bringing it in and out. So the moment that she came up here, which to be honest with you, we should have done years ago, she's been so much happier.
And it's a much bigger space
She's
as well.
brighter and happier and smiles and plays an awful lot of trains up here.
And this is the middle of winter, and actually it's reasonably warm up here.
And
so-
also, we had a question. It's scrolled off the top of the screen now. How is my stand-up routine going? The stand-up routine is written, and I'm working hard on improving it, improving the timing and all that. I haven't had another chance to get out and do an event. So the one that I've got on my ZJKR channel, the vlog channel, that stand-up routine in virtual reality is the only time I've been able to perform most of the routine. And the routine is bigger than that now. So I have to get out this year and get some gigs. But that requires Jen to stop wanting me to do 6 weeks worth of buffered videos so that she can play with her trains. So we're going to have to deal with that.
Yeah, I'm just looking down the comments. Evan Railway 2019, how do you test a T gauge on a 00? Dead easy.
Salsa?
No, dead easy, you don't. I don't do T gauge, although I do have a project that I'm pitching for something else that would involve making something out of T gauge to really show off minimum space railway modelling. But as of yet, the only gauges that I have to contend with are O gauge and 00. And as you've just seen, I can test run O gauge locomotives on my 00 layout because I very carefully put 2 tracks at a point where if the O gauge loco sits on the outer tracks, it gets the power it needs and I can power it up.
Okay, Somerset Andy says, Zoe, how do you put up with Jenny? Very easily. She stays in her train loft and I stay in my office most of the time.
No.
And that's how it works.
No, actually, how she puts up with me is the fact that she's the nuisance, so she tolerates herself quite well. And basically...
These are all scurrilous lies.
No, this is all scurrilous truth. Let's have a look. Patrick Furlong says hi to you.
Hi,
Says
hi,
hi to you.
Patrick.
Mattmaz2, how many hours a week do you spend modelling? Not as many as I would like. It does vary. Now that Weir Yard is largely finished, I don't actually spend a lot of time modelling on Weir Yard, but it comes and goes. Last week we did a lot of work with the back scene, and I built a cliff face and stuff. So I spent a couple of hours doing model work on here. But also, what are you doing? Oh,
That's the back scene.
I've already shown it to them.
Yeah, but now it's in HD.
Okay. Apparently you'll be seeing this, but I'll be sounding really faint. So there.
Oh my goodness, there you are again.
Yes.
Mark Sunways, hi Zoe, a year ago you were saying it was 70 days to Brexit. Yeah, but now it's like a week.
We'll have none of that dirty political stuff on here.
11
Thank you very
days!
much. Right.
And then we can all get back to just arguing about something else instead.
Warrington Trainspotter says, hey Zoe, can't wait to buy a stand-up DVD of your material. Should be fun.
I hope
Yeah,
so.
it should be funny as well, but you know, we can hope.
Right, I'm off. See you later.
Tony O'Brien, I'm new to all this and run Railmaster, which I find very powerful and relatively cheap. Why do people not like it? I have no opinion on the matter, it has to be said, because... Shut up, Cupboard Monkey. Because I've
Hang
never
on,
used
a train thing that you have no opinion on. What's wrong here? What have you done with Jenny?
No, I've never used it. I believe it's like computer-based software. I do know people who actually do like it, so it's not everybody who slates it, but I have no opinion on the matter. Ray Andrews, hello Jen and Zoe, always watch from start to end if I can. Would love a Hatton 66, but just too expensive. They are a great model. I did a full-on review of the pre-production model before Christmas, and actually it was very, very impressive. But I understand what you're saying. They are very expensive. Now, there are alternatives. There's the Bachmann Class 66, which is kind of the middle of the road in terms of detail. And then for very budgetary conscious people, there is the Hornby Railroad 66, which I believe is a slightly tweaked ex-Lima model, which it's okay, a lot more basic, but has the big plus point that you can pick them up brand new for about £60-65, something like that. So it's about what you're happiest with. Now, I believe there's probably going to be aftermarket detail kits to bring something like the Hornby Railroad model up to a higher standard. It just depends on how much work you want to put in. That said, also the Bachmann Class 66s are out there second hand for reasonable prices, so that may be another route to look out for. And don't forget to support your local model shop. A lot of the local model shops have second hand stuff which is priced to sell, so always worth keeping an eye on them. And also pretty much it's a case of use it or lose it. You know, support your local model shop first and foremost. Let's have a look. Oh yeah, somebody did ask a question about fiddle yard to terminus, or on an end-to-end layout, or whether a continuous run was better. Now, what I would suggest to you is you have to ask yourself, how do you enjoy using your trains? If like prototypical running and running manoeuvres, actually driving the trains, shunting with the trains is your kind of thing, then fiddle yard to end may be your cup of tea. It also means that you can, probably model something like a station pretty well, because you can turn over a lot more space to it. But it has its downside. Sometimes it's nice to just leave a train running. And I'm not a big one for playing trains. Now, I've built a full marshalling yard here, a hump marshalling yard. Have I used it? Have. I've shunted trains through it, but shunting bores me to tears. I get my enjoyment from building the model. And what I like doing is like this now. I've got trains running and just leave them running. So for me, a continuous running layout is an absolute must. But it all comes down to what your personal requirements are. New Junction, my 66 review hasn't made it to air yet. Awaiting Freightliner to approve the footage. Say no more. Oh, have you taken a Freightliner liveried Class 66 and put it on its namesake, the actual prototype, or something like that? That'd be quite clever if you have. I'm surprised actually, it's been quite a while. So are they just dragging their feet over that then or something? Or is it just a case of finding the right person to speak to? I know sometimes in the corporate jungle, getting through to the right person is the hardest part. Once you find them, they just go, yeah, it's fine. And that's that. But actually getting through to the right person can be a pain in the neck. But it's great to see you back in their New Junction. Have you slinked off and been doing something else, or have you been lurking, doing some modelling? One of these days I will spray my model train musk at you, and it will take, and you'll be like, oh, I must go to Jenny's and be guest on Heard Monday Live. It'd be great to have you on. I say this every week, but you never come. Ooh. But I've had too much caffeine. Does it show? RJC Models Official, evening to you. Dragging their feet. I presume, did I guess correctly that you placed the Hatton's model on its actual full-size counterpart, or is there an issue with the and there can't be an issue with the livery with Hatton's? They would have already sorted that out. So I guess that you presumably just have to cut that bit of footage, which would be a bit of a pain, unless you filmed the entire review in the cab of its full-size counterpart or something. Yeah, I think somebody asked before, Lima is owned by Hornby. They bought out Lima. Have a look down the comments. Plane Spotting Aviation says, I have no interest in trains, but find this somewhat interesting. A lot of people say that about me. When I used to do local radio, I used to do stuff, and we just sort of shoot the breeze. I had various partners in crime, A bit like, like if you remember Mark and Lard on the Radio 1 breakfast show, that's probably what we modelled ourselves after. But people used to say, I've got no interest in the music, but actually it's quite funny just to hear her get slightly high on caffeine and then just wax lyrical. Brockwell Lane, Freightliner have to authorise it. YouTube is getting like TV. Flymo Chairman 1, Mark, I haven't heard of ZUF for a while now. Actually, ZUF, wasn't that... Electrotren and ZUF are also owned by Hornby, and I'm sure that ZUF is one of the brands that you're actually more likely to see in places like France. New Junction says, I've got to film the Class 66 close-up. They have to approve. Nothing illegal happened on film before I get... Yeah, that's it. I guess if you filmed it from... railway property, then you do have to get permission. Obviously you had permission to be there, but then for that footage to be shown, so they just outright said no, and you're having to kind of carefully negotiate, or is it just they're showing a complete lack of interest to the free publicity they're getting? That must be a bummer, to shoot and film a really great review and then have people drag their heels about it. Ian Ryan says, Mark and Lard, God, yes. Yeah, Mark and Lard, I think they ended up on late night Radio 2 for a bit. I always remember them with fondness on the Radio 1 breakfast show, but I believe they only did it for just under a year, so they weren't like, I remember Steve Wright in the morning as well on the Radio 1 breakfast show. Again, he didn't last too long on that either. All the great DJs went to Radio 2, and Radio 1's just been left with Annie Mac, Lord Pete of Tong, and a whole bunch of dross. Flymo Chairman, yeah, ZUF, it was a French company. Mark Wilson, here you are, New Junction. Mark Wilson said, speak to Faye Shalier at Freightliner. She's extremely helpful in the patent copyright department. So if you haven't already spoken to her, there you go. Flymo Chairman 1, Mark Riley is still on 6 Music. Yeah, but you need a digital receiver to receive that. And I'll be honest with you, whenever I get a hire vehicle that has digital radio, I find myself listening to 5 Live. Adrian Childs is really great, but you didn't tune into this to hear about my thoughts on commercial radio and BBC radio. You're here for the trains! Lots of trains! Oh yes. Steve Penk. Oh, Stefano Penkino with his wind-ups. That was on Key 103. Daryl Hearn used to like Street Boy on Kiss. And then there was Steve Penk. Yeah, Steve Penk. He briefly tried... was it the Big Pork Pie? No, that was somebody else. But he did try and do something on TV. And it never really kicked off. Oh, did I just hear the sound of a wagon derailed? No, it was an illusion. Yeah, Stefano Penkino with his wind-ups. I remember that. Let's have a look. Patrick Furlong, only radio station I listen to is Classic FM. I must admit, I feel like I'm getting older. I'm listening to a lot more Classic FM these days. I've already made the switch from Radio 2 to Radio 4. It has to be said. That's a sign of impending old age. They always say you gradually move up the numbers. You start out on Radio 1, you then discover Radio 2 when Radio 1 no longer tickles you, and then after a while you get bored to tears by Radio 2 and move straight on to Radio 4. Paul Harrison, still got my Steve Penk tapes. Oh, you got the wind-up tapes. I remember him always pushing them. He used to have like wind-ups, volumes 1 through 2. I can't remember what number they got up to. Mark Samways, I'd love to talk radio with you. Maybe I should do a separate podcast at some point. Oh no, never a fan of Chris Moyles. See, I liked, for me, Mark and Lard. It was Zoe Ball after or before the Ginger one, Chris Evans. Chris Evans, I found, was the point that I stopped listening to Radio 1. He took over on the Radio 1 breakfast show, and I retuned for Radio 2, where I found with a great deal of joy that all of the DJs who'd been fired from Radio 1 that I used to like had all turned up on Radio 2. Yeah, I remember Wogers on the Radio 2 breakfast show. He did that for decades. Paul Harrison, yep, somewhere in the cupboard and bought from the Key 103 reception shop in Piccadilly Gardens. Oh god, yeah, I remember Jimmy Young retired. He wasn't so much retired as he was encouraged to, he was pretty much fired for being too old. I remember there being a lot of controversy when Jimmy Young was replaced by Jeremy Vine. I never knew that. Flymo Chairman 1, Mark Riley and Mark Radcliffe fell out with each other. Now, Mark Radcliffe, he's an alumni of the same school that I went to. So I have chatted with him very briefly at events. But yeah. Yeah, Ray Andrews, I hated Chris Evans. He was grated like anything. Dave Lee Travis. I was never a fan of DLT, it has to be said. Why are we talking about radio? It's back to the trains, back to the trains. Right, really excited for the Oxford Rail announcements for tomorrow. Nobody's come back to me and said, somebody hinted that their Facebook page was telling you what it was, just didn't have pictures. But nobody's confirmed that to me, and I don't actually have the means to check the Facebook page at the moment. So be interested to see whether anybody can tell me, is something getting listed there to give us a clue what to expect tomorrow. But I will be doing the live stream from either 9, 10 o'clock, depending on when the announcement comes. I don't know the actual time, but I will be doing a live stream to cover the Oxford Rail announcements. J. Paul Anderson, Jen, do you also enjoy old transport and loco building videos like Portrait of an Engineer, the Elizabethan, Men of the Footplate, etc. Received pronunciation was all around then. Oh yes, jolly good show, with lashings of ginger beer. And there was this man called Stevenson, don't you know, and he made steamy things kind of move. Oh, that was a jolly good show. I probably need a script if I'm going to do that. I like the old British transport films, like the one about building of the New Britannia Bridge and Snow on Ace Gill. James Carroll, Jenny, why don't you quit your regular job and just go live 24/7 on YouTube? Make this your full-time job. I would love that if it would pay. Unfortunately, I have a mortgage at the moment, so until the mortgage is paid off, I have to do 2 different jobs. I've got a day job and then I do the YouTube videos. And it's hard work. I'm basically doing 2 jobs. A lot of people think, yeah, oh, you've got loads of subscribers, you do all this content, you've got a sponsor as well. We're currently sponsored by Train-O-Matic. It makes some great DCC decoders, and I wouldn't accept money from a sponsor that I didn't personally approve of the product. And as you remember from when I did the review, they were amazing products and they continue to be. So I'm very happy to be sponsored by Train-O-Matic, but it doesn't pay all the bills, and that's the bottom line. Very few people can make a living from YouTube. I believe that Sam's Trains does, but I doubt that he's making a very a generous living from YouTube. My guess is that he's making enough. So in all honesty, he's probably making less than I make from my day job, but it's enough to support himself. And kudos to him. He's doing something that he loves. I would love to be able to do that. If I thought I could make me wittering on all day, every day, a job, then yeah. I used to work on commercial radio and BBC radio, not always as a presenter, occasionally as a presenter, normally filling in from other people, normally in graveyard shift jobs. But essentially, yeah, I'd love to do this for a job. Yeah, Russell Benton says, you had a look at Facebook, Oxford Rail just says announcement tomorrow, can't see any hints. I suspected that was the case, otherwise they've effectively blown the gaff. Mark Wilson, Palitoy are doing a press release next month. Palitoy? I didn't think they existed anymore. James Petts, I am a big fan of British transport films. Yeah, I think there's a lot of British transport films I find fascinating. I watch them on YouTube, but once upon a time, used to get sent VHS copies from a friend of my father's who somehow was able to access these things. Let me just... I've got a comment I need to approve. So, for some reason, it's... I think it's... Gosh, yeah, in your own... There we go. Yeah, I mean, I used to do radio programs. I've done all manner of radio programs. So, I feel honoured that you think I've got the gift of the gob. But, yeah, it's practice. It's like anything else. The more you do it, the better you get at it. And, you know, I worked for a good number of years. I started out with student radio. In fact, before that, RSL radio, and then went on to commercial radio, freelancing for the BBC. The trouble was that the money wasn't great, and actually, it's a lot of work for just like anything in the media. And I ended up going into other lines of work. If somebody offered me a radio job, yes, I would take it just like that. But radio jobs are few and far between, and certainly I don't want to be a glorified jukebox for the likes of Heart FM, where it's the same 5 songs over and over again, all day, every day. You know, it's just soulless radio. I'd go and work for Radio 4 if they'd have me, but you know, there's a lot of competition for these jobs. Anyway, I'm wittering now, absolutely wittering. J. Paul Anderson says, I think you should probably need 100,000 subscribers to make a living off it, I suppose. I understand that Sam's Trains does it off, he's got about 67,000. So it can be done, and I'm nowhere near there. I'm probably about a sixth of the way of what I would genuinely need to be able to do it full time. Most YouTubers will not talk about money. I think either they're embarrassed by it, or actually they don't earn as much as they'd like you to believe that they earn. But the honest truth is that, quite simply, there's not as much money in YouTube as there used to be. It's hard work, and there is a lot of people doing it. Ian Ryan says, you got the gob. Yeah, I do have the gob. Evan Rower 2019, I'm really sorry I have to go. Wish you all the best, Jenny. Have a good one. Bye. It's been great to have you on. Always really honoured that you guys choose your Monday night to hang out with me. So you take care, and see you later. Leslie Dickinson says, bye, Evan Rower 2019. Jamie Smith says, laugh my bottom off. You're honoured that you have the gift of the gob. Well, it's a skill, and actually, you know, I'm naturally quite a shy person. I know that this aura that I give off when I'm working in a professional capacity may suggest otherwise, but actually I'm a very shy person. Plane Spotting Aviation, I just got monetized yesterday. Woo! Yeah, it's a big day actually when you first get monetized, and I know they've made the criteria really quite hard actually, but you know, when you do, build on it, build the channel, and jobs are good. Adams Railway Home, only 5 minutes late, which isn't bad for LNER. Missed the last 40 minutes though, probably used all my data watching on the train as the Wi-Fi is rubbish for streaming. Oh, I feel humbled actually that you chose to use all your data to do that, but certainly we've really appreciated your company. But you can also go back and catch up on any bits that you may have missed. Once we're done, it goes up live as a full video on YouTube. Mark Wilson, check out Railway Roundabout on British Transport Films. I probably get, it's one of those things you end up thinking, oh, I'll just look for Snowdrift on A's Gill, and you know, 10 hours later you're still watching BTF films. It's brilliant, isn't it? Very 120. YouTube has interesting parallels with radio in that regard. The top paid guys are paid very, very well, and there's an insane amount of competition from everyone else trying to be one of them. Isn't that the truth? RJC Models Official. Are you coming to any shows this year? Yes, I'm doing Alexandra Palace, and I'm hoping to do a lot more this year. It all depends on whether a job offer lands. I'll leave it at that. King Fox Junction, Monday night. Isn't Monday night without you, Jenny? Oh, I feel really honoured by that. It's great that you guys choose to hang out with me on the Jenny Monday Club, and don't forget to tell everybody else you know, because it's always great to have you on and just chatting about all sorts of stuff. Jamie Smith, you only have to look on Social Blade to see what any YouTuber is making money-wise, do you? I've never heard of that. What is that, and how does it get the figures? David Baker, Talking Pictures, channel 328, often shows BFI shorts, including fully fitted freight, night mail, etc. Flymo Chairman 1, a gift of the gab, I'd say. LOL, I've spent a few days on YouTube watching BTF films. I know it's addictive, isn't it? I also dash cam videos. Oh god. I like a good dash cam video, just not the bad ones. Russell Benton says, hope you get to Model Rail Scotland at end of February. Big shout. Yeah, I would love to do that one at least once. So maybe, here's hoping, if I can land. I got offered a job and it's still in the negotiation stage. I don't know whether I'll get it or not. But yeah, it would involve being able to get to a lot more shows, which would be great. Darren McHugh says, stop, carry on. Ooh, matron. Mark Wilson, have you ever seen the Titfield Thunderbolt? Oh, who hasn't? Actually, that's an interesting point. Actually, Lion from Titfield Thunderbolt. I wonder if the Hornby Stevenson's rocket set does particularly well, would we be likely to see Lion from Titfield Thunderbolt appear in Ready to Run 4? Now that is food for thought. I for one would welcome that. It's whether there is a general market for Era 1 models. I think in their pure quirkiness they would do quite well. Somerset Andy, got to go now, Jenny. Thanks for a great live stream again. Late meal and watch The Cure at Glastonbury again. Thanks for coming and watching as well. And Somerset Andy, thank you immensely for that Class 47. That means such a lot to me. It's plugged a massive hole in my collection with the Class 47s. And I know that people have been telling me for ages to get a 47. And thanks to your amazing generosity of being able to plug that gap. So thanks very much for that. So you may have spotted it trundling around in the background. And also we've got some personally signed books coming your way. We're sending those out by post, went out today. So you should get them in the next few days. And I do hope that you enjoy those. Let's have a look. New Junction says, I'm going to Model Rail Scotland. I'd love to go, actually. We need to start. Jenny needs to go to MRS Fund, where, I don't know, where you tell me how to hitchhike there and find a bench that hasn't been taken by a tramp in the park or something. But yeah, no, I'd love to go. I am doing Alexandra Palace, so don't forget you can come and meet me. I'll be there all weekend. And actually, Alexandra Palace is a really great one to do. Gareth Waite says, hello Jenny, how are you? I'm great, thank you. Love your videos, and I've even gone back through the collection to find more. Well, we've done nearly, I think we're approaching 800 videos. So if you watch every single video I've done back to back, you would be there constantly for probably about a month. I've been on YouTube for probably about 10 years, something like that. Actually, no, more than 10 years. J. Paul Anderson, Jen, have you asked Richard from Everard Junction to appear on the Loft chat? I haven't, no, actually. I must get in contact. It's one of the things, I'm a terribly shy person. Now, I know that the gift of the gab might lead you to think otherwise, but actually, when I turn off my radio media personality, I am actually a very quiet and subdued individual. I know that's hard to believe, but I do find it difficult to kind of reach out and make contact with people, but certainly leave comments and hint for me. That makes my life a lot easier. Let's have a look. James Carroll says, Jenny, great show today and always. Bye later. Thank you very much. It's been great having you hang out. We're starting to lose a few of the people who are watching on the stream. We're still at 168. And it's been great having you all here, but we're actually coming up to the end of the evening. So I'm just going to say really thank you for thanks for your company tonight. But you know, maybe another 15 minutes or so. Let's have a look. New Junction. You need to come and visit here as well. You need to come and hang out in the Loft. and do a Loft chat with us. It'd be great to have you on. Plane Spotting Aviation, 777 uploads on your channel. Oh, is that the number of videos? I lose count. There's an awful lot there, an awful lot of material. And that's not actually all that's ever been there. Originally, my channel charted my book writing career and my media exploits. So some of the really early videos that were on my channel were actually me when I was at work in radio. And I used to have videos of me, like the behind the scenes in the radio studio at a radio station up in Preston, where I was doing some work at the time. And unfortunately, they fell foul of the algorithm that got brought in that was started picking up music that was audible in the background. Because obviously it was a radio studio, you could hear vaguely the tunes that were going out. So all those we took down. We thought we're not having this palaver. And then there was also the book signing tours as well. But it then became very clear that the model railways was where my future on YouTube lay. So that's why most of my channel is YouTube videos. Ray Andrews, one last thing, Jen, is the Flying Scotsman an A1 or an A4? No, it's an A3. But similar-ish. A3s, I think A3s and A2s look a little bit similar. A4s are the super streamlined ones, the ones with the kind of curved front. W1s later on, well, the W1 got rebuilt looking very much like an A4, but they are very distinctive. Ben Davis says, thanks for doing the live stream. You're absolutely welcome, and thank you for your company tonight. It's been great to have you all aboard. I like transport. Invite 2 Richards for the same night. You could call it Jenny, Richard, and Richard. I could, but the thing about model railways is you tend to encroach in. You use as much space as you can for the model. So I've already extended the baseboards in a bit, and there just isn't enough room for 3 people. So one at a time, one at a time. Darren McHugh, Lancashire Mining Museum. We are custodians of Walkden Yard 00 gauge. That was donated to us last year. The layout will be on permanent display in the next couple of months. I must get down and see that actually. It's one of the places that I would like to go and visit, and it is quite local to here. So one of these days I must make the effort to go down and spend a day there. So thanks for letting us know about that. That'd be an interesting model. I'd love to see that. Plane Spotting Aviation, also start date 18th of April 2009. All right, so this Social Blade thing intrigues me. How much does it say I'm earning? Bearing in mind that there's Patreon, Super Chat, and a sponsorship deal as well. Mark Wilson, if you go to one show, I feel like I should have some kind of epic trailer voice guy doing this. If you go to one show this year, go to the Great Central Model Event 2020. Gareth Waite, what made you get into model rail, and what in your collection is your favourite loco? I think we had this question before, but it's my father. My father was looking for an excuse to get his Humvee 00 down out the loft, and I took the bait. Favourite locomotive? That's a tricky one. I think my... I'll just grab it because it's just here. Ow. Ooh. The thing about this is it's actually waiting for a super power pack from Train-O-Matic. They're sending me one over to do a specific video on DCC fitting this and make the thing super reliable. So I'd guess that if there's one loco I'd save above all else, it's this, because it was the first locomotive I bought when I got back into railway modelling. I nearly put it on the track there. Oh, it would buzz angrily. Let's see what else. Warrington Train Spotter, what is the Tornado? Is that an A3 locomotive? No, that is an A1. Blue Peter, incidentally, is an A2. Cottesmore, come on, Richard, go and see Jenny. You tell him, you tell him. McBenman one, do a footplate experience. There is a video actually on my channel. City of Wells, we're on the footplate of that. Also, I got a cab ride in a Class 25 and a Class 20 as well. New Junction says, Richard can sit on my knee. Yeah, for 3 hours, I think the pair of you might find that a bit tough, not to mention the little footstool you have to sit on. One at a time, boys. Ham Shackleton, AGCM just up the road from me. Astley Green Colliery Museum. I do have to go there, actually. Jamie Smith, it's always a great night on Monday, Jen. Listening to your lovely voice of angels talking to us. Oh gosh, so what settings do you have on the sound to make me sound like an angel? But thank you, it's a great honour to have you all on. Sean Millard, will you ever be getting a mallard? Yeah, probably at some point. It's just a case of finding one at the right price, I guess. Flymo Chairman 1 Warrington Transport, I know, I'm sure it's a Peppercorn A1 Ultra. It is definitely a Peppercorn A1. Daryl Hearn, are Train-O-Matic chips cheaper and do they support sound? They're not the cheapest on the market, but they're certainly... The thing about the Train-O-Matic chips, which I really like, when I did the review, when you put them in a locomotive, normally if you put a brand of decoders in a locomotive that is not the same brand as that locomotive is made by, so for example, if you put a non-Bachmann chip in a Bachmann loco, you sometimes have to play about with some of the CV settings to get it to run properly, and that can be a bit of a grind. Ditto, if you put a Bachmann chip in, say, a Hornby loco, you can have to tweak some of the CV settings. What I found, when you put the Train-O-Matic decoder in any locomotive, it didn't matter. They just ran flawlessly without having to change any of the CV settings. And the other thing as well I found was the locomotives seemed a lot smoother, and I think partly that's because you're not having to really like fine-tune the CV settings. It just works to its best. You were effectively getting out of the box a DCC decoder that you didn't have to mess about with. So for a novice like myself, they were perfect. I also seem to find that the locomotives were that little bit more reliable with them. I think they tolerated minute moments where they lost power a little bit better than certain other brands of chips. Now, in terms of price, if you go to the www.tramfabrique, now that's spelt tramfabriek.nl/decoders.html or trainsomatic, all one word.com. You can get the decoders from there, from a UK supplier. They're about £20, so they're not the most expensive on the market, but they're not the cheapest. As far as I'm aware, they're not sound-fitted chips, so just bear that in mind if sound is what you want. But they also do the Super Power Pack. Now, I mentioned that in the review, but I've just filmed a proper full review of it. And it's a programmable stay-alive capacitor, for want of a better word. And that is a product which really has amazed me. Winstanton Junction says, great stream, Jenny. See you again next week. It's been great to have your company. I'll see you next week. You take really good care of yourself. Ham Shackleton, AGCM, got loads of Bob's private owner wagons. He does a few O-gauge as well. I have actually bought one at a show. I bought it as a present from my father. I can't remember which livery it was, but it's one of the Daypole O-gauge wagons that they had special liveries on. Derek Grant, if there was 3 in the loft, look at the coffee cake, Zoe would have to bring up the ladders. Winstanton Junction, bye Flymo Chairman 1, see you next week. See you later, Flymo Chairman 1, it's been great to have your company. You take great care of yourself, and it's always a joy to have you all aboard. And we have a great chat going on, don't we? I'm going to be rounding up in the next 5 minutes anyway, so, I like Transport Lol, King Fox Junction, can't wait, set up a group funding for Richard New Junction to come up. Yeah, put a bit of petrol in his putt-putt bike. I do have a spare room with a proper double bed in as well, so you can spend the night if you want to. Combine it with taking some photos. Maybe you should feature me in Hornby magazine. Hint, hint. Although actually, there's an article about Weir Yard in waiting in Steve Flint's queue for Railway Modeller. So, but no, it'd be great to have you up. Maybe if you're passing through on your way to visit other people on business for Hornby magazine, you can call in and do a live stream. It'd be great to have you. I've been trying to get you in for a while. Coddismore says, I'll summon him and keep New Junction in my shed. Like I said, I've got a proper spare room with a double bed and everything that you can spend the night in if you want. Mark Wilson says, good night, my ducks. Jamie Smith downloaded the new Social Blade app now. Oh, I've never heard of this. It's like apps. Oh, that's how down with the kids is that? I'm afraid I'm barely legible with a mobile phone. Actually, I'm old school. I'm in my 40s and I show. Night to you, J. Paul Anderson. Warranted Train Spotter, you would think Hornby and their announcements would bring out a more up-to-date DCC controller. It does seem to be a little bit of a sketchy area, I must admit. 57305 Northern Princess, see you Jenny, off to watch Doctor Who Horror of Fang Rock to celebrate Tom Baker's 86th birthday. That is a great one, but The Talents of Wang Xiang is my absolute favourite Doctor Who serial of all time, it has to be said. Also a Tom Baker serial. Ian Ryan, right, night all, be safe. You take care as well, it's been great to have your company. Flymo Chairman 57305 to Tar for now. Time's getting away too. Cheers everyone. Zoe, good night. Good night. It's been great having you all on. McBenman1 says, can you stream more often? Also, I'm doing a row exhibition stand in September. Yeah, well look, don't forget I'm doing the Oxford Rail announcements as a live stream tomorrow morning. Will be sending out either through the Facebook page or through YouTube a notice of when that should be, when I find out. If you haven't already subscribed, do subscribe and you'll be the first to know. Cottesmore, Hornby are releasing a more up-to-date controller. Select and Railmaster integration has also increased. I do look forward to that actually, because I could do with a little bit more easy to use DCC system. Chris Whittingham, Lighthall, see you tomorrow Jenny, see you later. Ham Shackleton, Hornby DCC, I've heard that the Elite is getting very thin on the ground and hard to find. Ray Andrews, can't beat the Daleks. Remembrance of the Daleks is my favourite when it comes to Daleks. Paul Harrison, thanks Jenny for the first time I've watched as recommended by Jamie Smith. Oh brilliant, the word is getting out there. Don't forget to recommend us to all of your friends to let them know about the Jenny Monday Club and also the channel as a whole. We've got a lot of great videos out there, but I'm going to have to round up now. It's coming up on 10 o'clock. We've had our 3 hours and it's been really great to have your company. Really honoured that you've chosen your Monday night to join me. And don't forget tomorrow the Oxford Rail announcements for the 2020. Obviously not as big as Hornby. That was a really exciting announcement that we did there, but certainly looking forward to what they're bringing out because there's some really great stuff there. Also got a whole load of review videos coming up, and I've got a special review of the Trainomatic Super Power Pack. Oh no, it's next Friday's video. This Friday's video is an old versus new uber retro comparison to celebrate this centenary year with Hornby. So good night all. Just have another. Social Blade says you gained 10 new subs today. Boom. Don't forget, if you haven't subscribed, do so, and you'll be able to find out about these new videos as they go up. And also massage my ego. Let's see if we can get me up to 10,000 subs at some point. Anyway, look, you all take really great care of yourself. We now get to that awkward moment where you just get to see my finger slowly go for that X on the screen. Press the X. It says, are you sure you want to stop streaming? Yes. The awkward finger of the end of the stream. You take really good care of yourself. Good night all. Bye for now.